my goodness.
Hey.
Good morning, everybody. I'm calling to order the Pikes Peak Council of Governments Board meeting for Wednesday, July 12th, 2023. We are up here in the Ute Pass Cultural Center in Woodland Park. Thank you, Woodland Park, for hosting us today. That's really exciting to be up here. It's a beautiful, beautiful summer day, and the traffic was not too bad getting up here. So thank you. Let's go ahead and call to order and establish a quorum, please.
Madam Chair, we need 7 for a quorum, and I'm just counting that we have way more than 7, but would suggest why don't we go around the table and do introductions.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll start to my left here.
Dick Ellsner, Park County Commissioner.
I'll share.
All right, thank you, Dick. Dave Donaldson, Colorado Springs City Council.
Andy Gunning, PPACG.
Tom Litherland, City of Cripple Creek City Council.
Roland Garden, Mayor Pro Tem Callahan.
Kelly Case, Mayor Pro Tem Woodland Park.
John Graham, Mayor, City of Manitou Springs.
Todd Dixon, Mayor Green Mountain Falls.
John Hall representing CDOT. Jeff Bond representing Peterson, Schriever, and Cheyenne Mountain Space Force Base.
Lynette Crow Iverson, City Council at Large Pro Tem.
Everyone, Yolanda Avila, City Council, Colorado Springs, District 4, southeast part of the city.
Good morning, Glenn Havener, Mayor of Palmer Lake.
And good morning, Stan Vanderwerf, El Paso County Commissioner.
Holly Williams, it's a beautiful morning in Woodland Park. Everybody else said good morning. El Paso County.
Morning, everybody. Eric Stone, Teller County. And I was mentioning to our representative from the Space Force bases that when the invite went out for a meeting in Woodland Park on a day projected to be as hot as today is, looks like everybody was all in. So thank you, everyone, for coming.
I am Mayor Sherry Thompson from the City of Fountain and the PPACG Board Chair. And Mr. Jared, who do we have online today?
So, Madam Chair, we have a few members online. I'll go ahead and introduce them. We got Buck Hicks from the City of Victor.
Yes. Buck, did you want to thank you.
Buck City of Victor Council.
Thank you. We got an alternate from Fountain, Teacher Duncan.
Good morning, everyone.
And we also have from the Air Force Academy, Colonel Daniel Werner.
All right, great. Welcome, everybody. And we're going to move on to agenda approval. And I believe, Mr. Gunning, you have a possible change to the agenda.
Well, I was going to recommend, and other members may want to chime in here as well, that we've gotten a lot of feedback on the Broadmoor Seven Falls wastewater application, item 5C on your under the action items. Was going to recommend that you postpone action on that item, amend the agenda to remove that for action today, and refer it back to the Water Quality Management Committee for technical review and to the Community Advisory Committee for some further input.
Okay, so the suggestion is on the agenda approval that we approve it, but remove item 6C. Nope, I'm sorry, 5C. Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Just a moment, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you.
Just at the moment that the executive director mentioned that there was a truck driving by and that door is open, and I did not hear what we're talking about.
Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Okay, we'll start. You want to go ahead again, Mr. Gunning?
Madam Chair, this is Dave Donaldson, Colorado Springs City Council, and I'm sitting next to Andy. He just tapped me and asked me if I want to just basically repeat what he said, because I agree with the executive director that we've had a lot of concern from neighborhood residents and others about this. And I think it would be wise for us to give it one more month. So take it off our agenda for July, put it on the agenda for August, give the Water Quality Committee and the CAC another look at it, a chance for input from citizens, some of whom are here today, and they could still speak during public comment. So perhaps that's enough of an explanation for our colleague, the commissioner from El Paso County.
Okay, are you making that a motion?
If I need to, then I would say, yeah, I would make a motion to amend our agenda to remove item 5C.
Is this being removed at the request of the applicant?
We have a first on the floor. Let's go ahead and see if we get a second and then we can deliberate the motion. Does that work for you?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda, take off item 5C. Is there deliberation on them or questions on that? And so Commissioner Williams?
Is this being removed at the request of the applicant?
Madam Chair, I would say it's not, it's a staff recommendation. And to give you a little bit more background, it's an application that's gone through our technical review, is recommended for approval by our Water Quality Management Committee. That's your technical committee that reviews said applications under water quality plans. But then it got a negative recommendation by the Community Advisory Committee just a couple of weeks ago. Based on the comments that came up at that CAC meeting, the applicant did a really good job, I think, addressing those concerns, those questions that came up, but I think there's still some outstanding concerns and questions. So I think just in the public interest and just making sure that, we're assuring the public that all the technical aspects have been taken care of, having the Water Quality Management Committee weigh in on those changes and updates that came from the applicant, I think would be helpful. And referring it back to the CAC as well, I suspect it may be hopefully better received with a positive recommendation. That would be my hope with their second review, and then bring it back in a cleaner form in August for the board.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. It's at least on the Board of County Commissioners, it's common practice if we take something off the agenda to also articulate the disposition of it. For example, is it for permanent removal or is it to be moved to a future date certain? And we are actually very specific about moving it to a future date certain if we want to just delay it. So if I could ask the person that made the motion and the person that made the second, if they could include in that motion and second a specific future date when this will be heard, which I would presume would be next month's PPACG meeting, but I'd like to actually ask that be added into the motion in second.
I just have one more comment.
Okay.
If folks would pull the mic right up to their mouth, we might be able to, not too close, so it doesn't whistle, but a little bit closer so we could hear everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam
All right,
Chair.
hang on just a moment, please. I think we have another comment down here from Commissioner Stone.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And I agree with the suggestion to add a future date, date positive on this. But also just for anybody who has come up here and made the trip up here to Woodland Park to speak on this issue, if it is removed from the agenda, just for clarification, they could still speak to this board, but just during the public comment and not on the item as it was originally published if it is removed from the agenda. Is that accurate?
Yes, I clarified that with Mr. Gunning before the meeting. If this was removed, then they would be able to speak under public comment. And yeah, I agree. They did, if they made the time, or they're even online. They set the time this morning, they would be able to address this issue.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, Mr. Donaldson?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. So to clear that up, our next meeting is August 9th. So I would add to my amendment that the time certain is August 9th.
Second.
Okay, hang on just a second. I'm gonna bend to my Robert's Rules of Order person here to my right. I believe the second needs to be made by the person who seconded the
Whoever
original
seconded the
motion.
First Amendment has to accept that,
Right.
and I said, accept that.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay. All righty. All right. That's why I need somebody to hear the right to keep me going with the protocol, right? Okay, so we have a motion that has been amended to remove item 5C and have it brought back for the August 9th meeting. And that was seconded and again and accepted. So is there any further deliberation on that?
Just clarification again to refer back to CAC.
To refer back to CAC. Okay, that was not part of the motion, but it's part of the record. CAC and I believe water quality also. Okay, and those people will be able to speak under public comment. Okay, any further deliberation on the motion that's on the floor? Is there anyone online? Jared? Okay. Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Oh.
All right. We are powerful today. All right. All right. It only took us 20 minutes almost to get through the agenda, but we made it. The agenda approval. Okay. Public comments and presentations. Public comments. Public comments can be made before, during the meeting. Public comments during the meeting are limited to 3 minutes and can be done at the meeting location or remotely by using the posted Microsoft Team link. Individuals are encouraged to notify the meeting organized beforehand. For the agenda item, public comments can be submitted before the meeting via email for distribution. And so do we have anyone in the audience that is here for public comment for anything that is not on the agenda? And since we did remove item 5C, that would be included as not on the agenda. So please, the first person come forward and state your name for the record, and we will start the timer for the 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and members of this Board of Directors. My name is Jim Bensberg, and I'm a Colorado Springs citizen and founder of Cheyenne Canyon Conservationists. We've been active since 2009 in dealing with various issues in the Cheyenne Canyon neighborhood, North Cheyenne Canyon Master Plan, Seven Falls and Strawberry Fields, Evans Avenue Bridge replacements, et cetera, et cetera. And lest I forget the Battle of Mayhurst. But I come here today and I appreciate the motion to postpone this item. I was caught flat-footed a couple of days ago when I was aware that this would be on your plate, and the CAC had already denied the issue on a very narrow vote. But I think it's appropriate for this issue to be fully vetted and for the neighbors to be fully informed, and whatever avenues we have to make the citizens of not only this area, Cheyenne Canyon, Cheyenne Boulevard, Cheyenne Road, aware of what is possible. I think it's appropriate to know what exactly has transpired in the past. Side note, at the age of 14, I actually worked at Seven Falls directing traffic when tourists were allowed to drive up and park and enjoy the scenery. So at any rate, let me just conclude by saying thank you for postponing this event. I think this will make a much better public process, and the final product will reflect that. So if you don't have any questions for me, I'll quietly take my seat. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Bensberg? No, thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak today? Please come up and state your name for the record.
My name is Joe Good. I'm with Entech Engineering, who represents the Broadmoor in this. And didn't really have anything to say other than I want to just make sure I'm clear that, so do I get back in touch with Ann in terms of going back to both committees or just the citizens action?
With both committees, the Water Quality Management Committee and the CAC. And I think they actually meet on the same day. Is that correct, Ann?
Yeah, they do.
And I don't remember the exact date. It's coming up. It's the last Wednesday in July.
Yeah.
Water quality in the morning.
Yeah, that's what we did on the last meeting.
Bit of a double header. Yeah.
Okay.
And then back in front of the board August 9th.
Okay. And I'm up here and I just, if anybody has any questions for me about the project. Nothing? Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Jared, is there anyone online who would like to comment under public to be heard?
So I believe so. So we will, I will ask those for online to please use the raise hand function in Teams. That will indicate that you would like to provide public comment. We will go in the order that we receive those hands that go up. And Madam Chair, I do know we have several people who are online, a couple who did indicate that they were wishing to make public comment.
Okay, we'll go ahead and just call on them one by one, and we'll just keep moving along.
Well, and so the instruction we provided was to use the raise hand function to let us know
okay,
that they would like to provide comment. At this point, I'm still not seeing any hands raised online.
Okay, we'll give them another second because especially if you're on the phone, it's a little difficult to find the hand.
Okay, they're starting to come in. So we will start first with Ed Dills.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Dills.
That was my fault. Ed, you should be able to unmute now.
Okay, is that working now?
It's working now. Thank you.
Okay, as chairman of the CAC, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to review this again. I've had some lengthy discussions with some of our members, and our primary comfort zone at this point was the safety and concerns for the citizens that live in the area. And it's something we feel that can be addressed, but we just want to make sure it's properly done, I's dotted, T's crossed, what have you. And that's kind of where we're at. Welling Clark was our member that caught the contract, so to speak, that didn't have a lot of clarity to it. There were blanks not filled out. That's been addressed. We appreciate that, but we still want to make sure the safety of the area and the citizens. And I think delaying it for a month will accommodate everybody's needs and make a better product in the long run, like Mr. Bensberg had mentioned. So thank you for the opportunity, board. And that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you of the magic finger. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Dills. And next person, please.
Okay, we have Donna Strom. You should be able to unmute and provide a comment.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We
Yes.
can, thank you.
First of all, I want to say that I am very deeply grateful for the postponement. I sent you all an email last night, and I'm hopeful that over the next month, you'll be able to read that email and mull it over. Like Mr. Bensberg, who is my neighbor, I was blindsided by this issue. And given time, it is my hope that the voice of the people will be heeded. Thank you very much for the postponement. That's it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Strong. Do we have another person?
At this point, unless anyone else raised their hand, and I think they've had plenty of opportunity at this point, I believe we can move forward.
All right. Is there anyone else, last call in the audience, that wants to speak on anything not on the agenda today? All right. Seeing none, we will close public hearing and we will move on to the military installation reports. And I believe you said Colonel Warner is online.
He was, but it looks like he has, oh no, he is. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I keep clicking the mic button and kept remuting myself, so I apologize on that one. Is everybody able to hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, great. Hey, yeah, definitely wish I could be out there in person at Woodland Park today. Sounds like a great day out there. It's a little humid and hot up here at the Air Force Academy right now. But primary updates for us right now. The huge news for us as a huge community win and for the military installation is this coming weekend, we have the opening ceremonies for the U.S. Golf Association's Girls Juniors Championship, which is going to be hosted here at the Air Force Academy on the Eisenhower Golf Course. So this is the fourth time that this tournament has been held in the state of Colorado, but it's the first time that it's being held on a military installation. So we're very proud to be bringing in all of these young athletes in from around the country who are going to get to see the academy as well as the local Colorado communities. And have a chance to compete for just a tremendous award. I mean, and I can tell you all these young athletes are way better at golf than I would ever be. So if anybody gets a chance to come out and actually watch any of the rounds of play, it'll be going on all this week. Highly recommend it. When you do come on the installation, I mean, we still have visitor control or visitor flow onto the base. Visitors are authorized. As far as road construction goes, just be careful as we take the opportunity here during the non-football season and the non-academic season to do a lot of repairs. The Northgate Boulevard and the Stadium Boulevard are undergoing serious mill and overlays, and so many on the dates and everything that I'm not even going to try to comment on the dates that are going on. I will just say if you come in through the North Gate or if you're driving on Stadium Boulevard, just exercise caution and probably plan a little bit more time on there as we do single lanes of traffic and have a few patches of gravel going right now. The other, just for everybody's awareness, the prep school. So we did welcome in our we unprocessed our cadets into the main cadet wing. And then on top of that, we also had 230 prep school candidates arrive on 7 July. So we are back in full swing of our full cadet manpower and prep manpower. And so just excited for the operations that are going up here at the Academy. Putting in any questions as you all may have of me.
Any questions for the Colonel? Okay, I don't see any questions. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, ma'am. Glad to be here.
All right, anybody else online for military installations?
Madam Chair, that appears to be all online that we are aware of.
That's all?
We're
Okay.
good. Yep.
Okay, in the room?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Jeff Bond representing Peterson, Schriever, and Cheyenne Mountain Space Force Station on behalf of Colonel. Excuse me. I just have a couple quick things to brief. One is due to the inclement weather that we've been having, the East Gate project has been extended by approximately 5 or 6 weeks. We're anticipating the end of August to have the East Gate operational. That'll, of course, will continue to impact Mark Shuffle thoroughfare. The other item is we still do not have official notification of replacement commanders for Northern Command and NORAD and U.S. Space Command. Due to the current political climate, we are still waiting for official confirmation of who the new commanders are going to be. Pending your questions, that's all I have to brief this morning.
I'm sure there's somebody in charge in the meantime, though. If not, they'll give it to you, huh? All right, any questions for Jeff and anything going on with the Air Force stuff that he covers? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming up here today. That takes us on to the consent item. Item 4, we have consent A, B, C, D, and E. Is there any one that'd like to make a motion on the consent agenda?
Dick Ellsner, Park County. I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Is there any deliberation on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that takes us on to action item 5A, FY 24-25 UPWP info, public comment period. Danelle Miller.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is much taller than our podium at PPACG. So today we have for you the Unified Planning Work Program for federal fiscal years 2024 and 2025. This is a required document where basically the intent is to report out what PPACG's transportation staff is going to accomplish, the tasks that we're planning to do for the next 2 years with our consolidated planning grant funding. And that funding comes to PPACG from the Federal Highways Administration and the Federal Transit Administration. And then in addition to that, it documents all of the other transportation related activities, planning activities that is taking place within our metropolitan planning organization area, which is the Colorado Springs urbanized area and coming up here to Woodland Park. Really, a lot of the tasks are the same as they have been in the previous UPWP because that is ongoing work. A couple of changes that we do have in this version, we have a couple of staffing additions that we're anticipating. We're anticipating hiring one more person for GIS and modeling to support our transportation planning. We also have a couple of safety staff personnel that we're hoping to hire. However, that will be accomplished through separate funding. So PPACG is anticipating receiving a grant from the Highway Safety Office for a regional safety champion, and also a VISTA volunteer that would be dedicated to traffic safety education in the region. Couple other things just wanted to point out. PPACG is going to be continuing to work on the long-range transportation plan over the next 2 years with anticipated adoption in January of 2025. We also have the active transportation plan and the regional freight study going on. And we are also starting work on a new transportation improvement program document, as that's also updated every 2 years. At this point, we are asking for board approval to release this document for public comment. That will be a public comment period of 30 days, at which point it will go back through our committee process, TAC, CAC, and board for final approval before sending it on to CDOT and FHWA FTA.
Okay, are there any questions or comments for Danelle? Okay, we have so many different mics around the room. It's kind of tricky to see which ones. Okay, I do have one question for you, Danelle. It's on page 26 of the report or 52 of the printout, something. It's 4.6 when we're talking about the specialized mobility services. One of the bullet points, it says PPACG staff will work with the mobility coordinating committee and individuals who depend on specialized transportation to identify gaps in services. How are we reaching out to individuals and not just people that are members within the MCC?
That is a great question, and I believe Laura Cruz may be online and might be able to help answer that. But we are also working right now with MMT is leading our human specialized services transit plan. So there's quite a bit of public outreach anticipated with that plan going forward. And then Jared, is Laura online at all? Laura, can you chime in as well?
She might have stepped away. She is online, but she might have stepped away.
So we are relying heavily on our MSTC to reach out to folks, and our CAC as well. We kind of rely on our CAC to reach out to community members, but we will certainly make note of that concern and make sure that's addressed.
We can call that comment number 1 in our public comment period.
Absolutely.
So it's timely.
Yeah, I'm just real concerned because when we did this the last time, we had a lot of really professional people on board, but really only a couple of people that were actually using the transportation. And I think their comments are invaluable. Because they're the ones that are seeing the difficulties or the greatness about it. Commissioner Stowe.
Yeah, thank you. Not a question, Danelle, but thank you for presenting this. Do just want to point out, because we are here in Woodland Park and Teller County, that on page 30 of the plan, page 56 of the overall packet, there is an item there within the plan for the study of a reliever route for US 24. City of Woodland Park has been a leader on this, brought the issue to the county, and we joined in with them to help sponsor this. But for those who are here local, part of this entire plan is to begin a study to look at options for a possible reliever route for the city of Woodland Park, for not only moving traffic through the city as the city grows, but also the safe transport of hazardous chemicals that may be coming to and from the mine. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, this is Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. On page 12, section 2.2.3, second bullet says equity and justice 40 in transportation planning. I have no idea what justice 40 is. Is that something that we can get a better understanding of? I just have never heard of it.
Certainly. So Justice 40 came out of an executive order, I think several decades ago. But basically, it's an extension of Title VI, where we are required in our transportation planning to make sure that underserved and other groups of concern are included in our transportation planning efforts. And also that there's an analysis during our long-range transportation plan to ensure that there are no significant impacts of projects to any areas of concern.
Okay, thank you. I just, if I could maybe make a request to get if it's an executive order from, I guess, a former Colorado governor or something?
It's a presidential order.
A presidential order? Okay, thank you. If I could, I'd like to see a copy of it. Because I don't know if it has, especially if it's been around a long time, whether it's compatible with kind of some of the other things that's the state's trying to do. So thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
And yeah, if I could comment, I do not know what the specific Justice 40 executive order is, but back in the 60s and 70s, the environmental justice rulings came down that essentially stated, number one, you cannot put a freeway through a poor neighborhood just because it was a poor neighborhood. And so disproportionately considerations include making sure that those who might live in minority or underserved communities have access to bus services, that the disabled have access to transportation and those kind of things. That's kind of the way to explain it. This is a 50-year-old term that we're coming into, so that we're talking about. Thank you.
All right. Laura Cruz just put in the chat DOT fact sheet on Justice 40, so I can send that out to the full group after this meeting.
That'd be great. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Anyone online?
No one has indicated.
Okay.
We need a movement on this and
Well, I'm just looking at her and making sure she's not getting ready to take a breath and say something yet, because I have to kind of look over the top there. No, that's okay. Yep. So yeah, and so this is an action item. So what would the board like to do?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would move to move the fiscal year 24-25 UPWP info to the public comment period as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Mayor Dixon.
Okay, we have a second by Mayor Dixon. Is there any further deliberation on this, on the motion? I think Stan pushed it, but since two people are sharing the mic, I can't really tell. Or is it Mayor Habener?
We just pushed it to vote.
We just pushed it to vote.
Okay. All right. Thank
Get
you
ready.
very much. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much. That item passes. And we'll move on to item 5B, FY 2023 TIP amendment.
And I will be handling that as well today. Jess Bechtel is online, but she just came back from vacation, so she's not with us in person. Today we have a TIP amendment, an amendment to our transportation improvement program. We are reallocating some funding that was returned to us. We had $45,000 in a multimodal mitigation and options fund that was returned to us from Envita. And we also had a little under $870,000 returned to us from El Paso County. The TAC asked us to respond fairly quickly to reallocate this funding to projects with cost overruns. 4 projects were submitted for funding, and 3 of those were recommended by the TAC for either full or partial funding at this time. The MMOF, we only received 1 application for. That is an extension of the Colorado Springs MMT Downtown Shuttle Project, which will basically allow that shuttle to be operated longer. And the TAC and the CAC did recommend that for funding for the MMOF. For the carbon reduction program funding, there were 3 applicants. One of those was not chosen for funding, and that was a Pike Ride project. There was some discussion among the TAC members and Pike Ride about finding potentially a better source for funding for that project. It was a funding to install Pike Ride hubs, and just given the level of federal requirements that are required for this funding, and the limitations not only of Pike Ride, but of the amount of money, it was recommended that that project not move forward with that funding type. The 2 projects that were recommended for funding were $200,000 for the town of Monument for its Jackson Creek Parkway widening project. These are carbon reduction program funds, so they can't be used for the actual concrete or asphalt widening of the roads. But what Monument intends to do with these funds is to install solar powered lighting for that roadway extension or expansion. And then the remainder of the funding would go to Mountain Metro Transit for the purchase of hybrid buses. The project that MMT has is up to 9 hybrid buses. They did previously receive some CRP funding. So this would just allow them to purchase an additional bus with this funding. And if there's any questions, I believe Gail is online from the city to represent MMT if there's any specific questions.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments about anything on this item? Councilmember Donaldson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And I would ask that Gail Sturdivant go ahead and give us a kind of an update on what the funds would be used for. Is it really, does it cover one bus? Is it a hybrid bus, not an electric bus? Why a hybrid bus? And just sort of a background on it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Donaldson, the Gail Sturdivant, Interim Public Works Director of the City of Colorado Springs, and I am the Transportation Advisory Committee Chair. I'm actually going to ask some of our staff from Mountain Metro Transit to respond to your question. So Kelly, Ashley, or Allison, would you please be able to respond to the question? I believe it's Kelly.
I'm hearing Kelly through the wall. This is Allison Burns. Her mic, I don't think is working well on group meetings. So hello. Let's see if I can answer some of the questions. So the first question was, will this fund a total bus? Right now we're looking at 2024 prices, so it won't quite totally fund one full bus. If we get the 669 as the overrun plus the match, it's about 800,000. And hybrid buses right now, or in 2024, we're looking at about 940,000 for the hybrid buses. Let's see the other questions. What were the other 2 questions, Councilman Donaldson?
Well, I'll put one in there that follows on that. How much is just a regular bus, not a hybrid, not an electric?
And Kelly's joining me in my office. So Kelly, do you know the price of a regular diesel bus right now?
And I can respond to that too, Allison, if she's having audio problems. So, Counselor, our diesel-powered buses are approximately $500,000.
So approximately half.
It is approximately half.
Okay. And I think it would be interesting for the group here, the board, to just hear why we are now kind of switching over to hybrid versus pure electric buses, why that's our interest.
Would you guys like me to answer that for him, or do you want to take that, Allison?
Let's hear your answer first.
Okay.
And see if I can add.
One of the things, we're having some challenges with the electric buses and charges, and really it's more the long-term maintenance that we have some concerns about. So we're looking at the hybrid models, one, to be able to have more reliability on our routes when we're using these more energy efficient vehicles. We feel like the hybrids may be the best solution or best blend for us between electric vehicles and then having the ability to switch to other petroleum-based fuels to be able to operate on our routes without having them basically get abandoned or stuck on a route, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you. And my understanding is that some other municipalities are having surprises with the cost of the maintenance on the pure electric buses. So that's one reason hybrids seem to be a better choice.
Yes,
Go ahead,
absolutely.
Gail.
No, you're absolutely correct. And the long-term maintenance costs in those EVs are just still kind of unknown. But they are, folks that have had them in their inventory so far are having those unexpected costs that you mentioned.
And is this is the hybrid buses we're looking at, are they plug-in hybrids or no, they just, generate from their brakes, et cetera?
They are regenerative hybrids, so they are not plug-in hybrids, which is great for being out on the road because they will regenerate and then use the battery and then regenerate themselves. So we won't have to be bringing them back. That was another issue with the electric vehicles that we found out is, different weather and different road grades, going up Fillmore tend to use that battery a lot quicker than anticipated or presented by some of the full electric vehicles. So we're having to bring them back a lot quicker to charge them than we would like.
And then this will be my final question. Gail, we had heard, I think you were there for a presentation from the bus drivers that the full electrics, they couldn't even adjust the seat far enough forward so that some of the drivers could operate it. Do we know that these hybrid buses are going to be, the seat is adjustable enough to where all of the drivers can operate it?
So, Councilor Dennison, this is Gail Sturdivant again. I will let you know that you're going to get a response from the council staff today on all those questions that were brought up by the union. I will say that the bus seats that they fit folks that are in the 95th percentile to 5th percentile in size. We do have 7 drivers of approximately 156 drivers that are outside that window. So they would not fit in those seats. So there's no way to adjust beyond that. But the rest, bulk of our drivers can fit in those seats for the buses.
Is that problem unique to the hybrid and the electric, or is that the same with, well, it can't be with the diesels or they couldn't do their job, correct?
I would actually have to defer to someone at Transit to see if they know the answer to that question. I thought it was more of a universal seat issue, but it may not be.
Because they could never have driven any bus if they couldn't fit in a diesel. But okay, I think I have enough to vote on this. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, this Commissioner Vanderwerf.
I can't get the button to push over here. Okay. Yeah, because I had a follow-up question to Dave, if you can hang on just a second. I really appreciate you bringing that information to us because while I understand Mountain Metro is in the city of Colorado Springs, it is a regional bus system and they are asking us for money constantly to help support their regional workings. I believe it would be appropriate to have some of that reporting come to PPACG since we are being asked to fund some of their projects. So I'd like to, maybe if you could work on that, Councilmember Donaldson for us to kind of be that bridge person to be bringing that and getting that information to us. Cause I think that's important because I have had questions over the years and always just kind of been told, well, Mountain Metro doesn't answer to us, but yet they're asking us for money.
I'm sure that Mountain Metro will provide that information to PPACG also, and I'll make sure.
All right, thank you.
And I'm sorry to weigh in on this topic. One item we've been trying to schedule and we just haven't found a time yet is to do a Transit 101 workshop after one of our board meetings. So I think we could kind of weave in some of these other considerations too. So we'll aim for fall sometime this fall.
Great, thank you. I'm sorry, was it Commissioner Vanderwerf with the light?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So just a little bit of background on why El Paso County returned those funds. It was about $1 million program. And the concept behind it was a purchase of 5 electric vehicles, not hybrids, but fully electric vehicles, 5 electric vehicles, and 2 or 3 charging stations. Now, keep in mind, that was for 5 cars and a couple of electric charging stations. Charging stations are about $30,000 or $40,000 each, something like that. So the cars would have been about $180,000 each. We could not, and I know I for sure could not, in good conscience, spend $180,000 of taxpayers' money on a car. I just couldn't do it. So we rejected the proposal in a vote. The other problem is, and I think it's important for this board to know, the dielectric used in these electric cars uses cobalt, a rare earth metal. And the majority of cobalt is mined out of a child labor mine in Africa, which doesn't even come remotely close to what we consider to be appropriate ethical practices. We could not, in good conscience, support the purchase of those electric vehicles, knowing where the cobalt comes from. So I just wanted the board here to know why we rejected that. It was, in our estimation, it was not a good use of taxpayers' funds. And there are some ethical problems about some of the the source of supply for the materials to actually build the vehicles. So that's why we rejected it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams?
I think in the royal I may have been either it was a 4-1 vote or a 3-2. So I was in opposition to the majority of the board on that.
Thank you for clarifying that. All right, is there any other questions or comments? Mayor Dixon?
I'll move we approve the TIP amendment to redistribute the CRP and MMOF funds.
Okay, so you're making a motion?
Mhm.
All right, we have a motion on the floor.
I will second that because the town of Monument, I don't think they're here and they need the money for Jackson Creek Parkway.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. And we took item 5C off the agenda as action item. So that takes us to item 6, information items. Report out of El Paso County, Age Friendly 2.0. Mr. Barker.
Good morning, members of the board. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Jody Barker, Executive Director. I won't take that title yet. Director of the Area Agency on Aging. Just so glad to be up here in Woodland Park. It's very exciting to introduce Aaron Marzella, who is Executive Director of Innovations in Aging Collaborative. It's exciting also to share that many members of our Area Agency on Aging staff have participated in the age-friendly process, not just in actively putting those projects into use, but in the planning as well. And so Aaron's here to share a little bit more about what they're calling Age-Friendly 2.0. It's gone from a city project now to an El Paso County project. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and come on up and take the stand.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for the opportunity to present today. I recognize a lot of faces here, and so thank you for being present with us and giving me the opportunity to share again about innovations in aging and what we're doing with age-friendly Pikes Peak. Next slide, please. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Innovations in Aging is a nonprofit. We were started in Colorado Springs in 2009 to improve quality of life for older adults. And in 2012, we formed into a nonprofit to serve the city of Colorado Springs with what was called Age Friendly Colorado Springs at that time. So I'm looking for the word to accurately describe what it is we do. And I keep kind of bouncing around. The word that I'm on right now that I got from a conversation with the state of Colorado is the word called placemaking, which is Placemaking is essentially deciding how you want your community to be and then making it that way. And that is essentially what we do in Colorado Springs and in El Paso County. My hope for innovations in aging and the work that we do is that no one ever gets too old to live in the Pikes Peak region. We never age out of all the wonderful things we have here. No matter how old we are, I want everyone to have access to transportation, healthcare, housing, parks, businesses, everything. So something that's interesting about our work is our mission is to provide creative approaches to address both the challenges and the opportunities of aging. So I come to this work from a healthcare background, and when I think about serving older adults, it's been my experience. I've worked with people in their 90s who are sick. So, but that's not the experience of aging. We all age differently, and lots of people are healthy and active in Colorado Springs and El Paso County late into their lives. So for example, if we talk about serving workforce, we want to make sure that we have a healthcare workforce to serve everyone as we age. But also, we want a workforce that provides employment opportunities for people who maybe are going into a second career after they retire, or people who maybe want to return to the healthcare workforce later in their career so that they can be part of the economy in that way. So that's a bit of what we do at Innovations in Aging, not just looking at people who need our help, but how we can help people plug in when they just can't find the way to be there, to live their best lives here. So next slide, please. The work that we do in our major program in the first 5 years of our nonprofit is called Age-Friendly Design. Age-Friendly is an international framework, and in the United States, the framework is overseen by the AARP. And age-friendly is a term for a community that decides that they want to serve older adults with intention. And that's what we do at Innovations in Aging. We bring this age-friendly design to the community. We work in a public-private partnership with cities, counties, regions, and oh no, I've lost my slides. Oh, they're back. Good. We work in this public-private partnership to help communities design themselves so that older adults are able to engage. And the work is incredibly fun and it's very interesting. And I tell people all the time, it's wonderful for me because I don't have to be the expert in transportation. I don't have to be the expert in housing or healthcare or business or parks. But my job is to make sure that the expert in healthcare speaks with the expert in transportation. Because if we don't have transportation from rural areas to healthcare access, then we don't have healthcare. And I want to make sure that housing is connected with parks, because if we don't have accessible parks, if we don't have accessible parks close to affordable housing, then it's hard for people to live their best lives in Pikes Peak region. So we collaborate with governments and community-based organizations. We convene the community to understand where our opportunities for success are and where the greatest need is. We create solutions, and then we go back and listen and make sure we're doing a good job. Next slide, please. And when I tell people about age-friendly, especially my friends who don't work in community service, my friends who don't work in healthcare, my friends who don't work with older adults, a lot of times it doesn't hit home. The word age-friendly kind of loses people. And the best analogy that I have for age-friendly is elementary school chair. Because I don't know if anyone here has been back to their elementary school, but kindergarten chairs are very small. And the first time that I returned to my own kindergarten, I was shocked that the chairs were so small. But of course they're small because kindergartners are small people. So we don't ask a kindergartner to sit in a chair that's built for an 18-year-old man who's about to graduate from high school. And we also don't ask a third grader to call the mayor and say, can I have a bigger chair? This one doesn't fit me anymore. So we have age-friendly chairs in elementary schools and in public schools up through high school, so that by the time you graduate, the whole time you've been in school, your chair fits. Yet, when we graduate from high school, we act like you're an adult now, goodbye forever, you're 20, so figure it out. But 20 is not 40. is not 60, is not 80. So we want at Innovations in Aging to anticipate these changes throughout life so that no one has to call the mayor and say, I can't use the bus because I can't get my walker on it. Or I can't get to the park because the curb is huge and I can't step up on it. Or I can't take my grandkids to the park because they want to run around all day and I just want a bench. So if we could just please put a bench in the park, then it would be age friendly and it would be accessible no matter how old people are. So when I think about age friendly, it's not about the chair. It's about a comfortable place to sit. So that's what we want. We want to design things that suit people's needs, not just give some standard community design for people, no matter how old they are. Next slide, please. These are some of the things that we've done in our first 5 years at Innovations in Aging as a nonprofit. We helped build the first commission on aging that now sits under Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. And I'm a very proud commissioner on the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging. We have a seat there through Innovations in Aging, and I'm happy to serve the community. Something else that I think is that we're really proud of is our age-friendly business designation. So in partnership with the Better Business Bureau, we created a way for businesses to design their space so that older adults can access their spaces easily. And this is a nationally recognized program. And the age-friendly networks, I said that age-friendly is an international framework, and our program is recognized internationally as being a very successful, sustainable, effective way to serve the aging community. Next slide, please. It can be hard to measure the work that we do when we serve the community, because how do we know? It's kind of a long game. If you put, you build age-friendly parks, what does that mean for somebody? If we build an age-friendly park today, we're serving people who will be in their 60s in 10 years. So it's hard to know exactly the impact of our work. But one of the things that we have done is we did a measurement called a social return on investment. And what this measurement shows is the impact in the community for dollars that we spend. So this study was done by the National Institute for Social Impact, which is based in Colorado Springs. And they look at every dollar that we get, and then they do an assessment of the community and what it would cost for governments and other community-based organizations to provide these services. So our social return on investment showed that for every dollar we get at Innovations in Aging, we return $3.23 of value to the community. And I'm really proud of that, because I know that being fiscally responsible is important. And we're a small organization, we're very agile, and we rely on the community for the work that we do. Our work is all about community. It's all about bringing people together to do this together. And I love that even though we're small, and even though we rely on the community for the work that we do, we have a great financial return to the community. Next slide, please. And of course, the human impact is fabulous. So our work at Innovations in Aging, we primarily partner with governments and community-based organizations. We don't provide one-on-one services to older adults. We want to make sure that the community is built and that organizations are built to be accessible. So when I have the opportunity, like we did here, to provide laptops to low-income seniors at the Myron Stratton home, we brought high school students in to teach the older adults how to use the computers and break down the divide, the digital divide that exists for older adults, especially older adults with low income. It was pizza and balloons and smiles and love, and it was just the greatest intergenerational program that we've had. And it was wonderful. Lots of happy people. So I wish I had the opportunity to sit in rooms like that every day, but I know that the work that we do is building those opportunities. So next slide, please. So our biggest program is age friendly. And what that is, again, is bringing the framework to the community. We started in Colorado Springs, and we're now expanding into El Paso County. The areas that we're going to be focusing on in age-friendly Pikes Peak are housing, health and wellness, social communication and connections, workforce, and age-friendly environment, which is parks, sidewalks, businesses, that kind of thing, making sure the environment is prepared for older adults. This report will be available on our website by the end of August. We're building a new website right now, and it will be most easily accessible when that's ready to go in a few weeks. Next slide, please. And the future of innovations in aging. When I took this role earlier this year, our age-friendly program is our main program, but it's not the only thing that innovations in aging does. I think that there was a period of time where innovations in aging was mainly focused on age-friendly work, but I'm really excited about what we're moving into in the next few years. So Age-Friendly Pikes Peak is our partnership with government and community-based organizations. That's where we help people who serve people be able to serve older adults more easily. Other areas that we're working on is serving the business community. So working very closely with the chambers of commerce and helping small businesses connect with the age-friendly business certification with the BBB. This community is such a business strong community. It's a business friendly community. And the business community is a great way not only for us to help build an age-friendly environment, but to get our message out. Part of what we do with our age-friendly business certification is we train employees what it means to serve an older adult. And those employees aren't just employees, they're community members. So they return home and they talk to their families and they go into their churches and they tell people in the community about the things that they've learned. And it's a really good way to get our message into the community. I'm also very excited to report that we've moved our offices into Cottonwood Center for the Arts. And with this move, we are very organically connecting with the arts community. So we're looking at ways to work with the people who serve creative spaces in El Paso County and make sure that those creative programs are accessible for older adults. It's very good timing for this too, as our senior center is being redesigned in Colorado Springs. So it's a way to make sure that some of those activities will remain accessible over the next few years while that's being rebuilt. And also on the business front, but a little bit different, is we're really leaning into our innovation program. So we want to bring an age tech ecosystem to Southern Colorado. And what that is technology that serves older adults. We're a small organization, we're small but mighty. And the opportunity to partner with tech companies that are serving our mission is a wonderful opportunity for us to scale and also to be more efficient in the way that we provide our services. So we're looking for companies that can bring tech solutions for aging in place, remote patient monitoring, telehealth options, breaking down the digital divide, transportation solutions, education solutions, remote work solutions, basically every action item that we have. I know that there's a brilliant person out there who has an idea and they're just waiting to bring it to us. So I'm excited to help lay the groundwork so that we can bring some of these budding tech companies here to Southern Colorado. Next slide, please. If anyone has any questions, you can always call or email me. Our current website, like I said, will be changing in August, but this is going to be the same web address. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And I'm happy to take questions now too, if there are any.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So not a question, but just to let you know, I do sit on the state Board of Health.
Mm-hmm.
And this month, actually, my apologies, last month, on June 21st, we went through a rulemaking hearing concerning the implementation of two Senate bills, 22079 and 22053. The first one is to require dementia training for direct care staff.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is to provide visitation rights for family members and residents, because as you may remember on the second one, there were some people that I know personally that were not allowed to visit their relative in a hospital, and then they died from COVID and their family was not allowed to be there. That caused that particular bill to be written. But the other one, I think is perhaps the more interesting one. that for here, and that is that for nursing care facilities and assisted living residences, that bill requires that the staff be given some basic training in dementia care. You can get that. You get that kind of qualification in memory care facilities, but not necessarily in assisted living and so forth. So the rulemaking took place out of CDPHE on 21 June, and both of them passed. So there are new rules that have been promulgated by CDPHE that these healthcare facilities for older folks are going to need to comply with. It's my understanding, and I looked into this very carefully because I wanted to make sure that CDPHE did not overreach per what the legislature required. And I thought that they were very thoughtful about that. There's a lot of flexibility in being able to demonstrate that the training has taken place. It's a wide variety of courses, and they're not necessarily have to be courses approved by anybody. They just have to have a certain set of qualifications. So I just thought I'd let you know that there are new rules for the nursing care facilities. That's Chapter 5 of 6 CCR 1011-1. And then Chapter 7 is assisted living residences where these changes took place. And there'll be compliance requirements for our local community organizations and companies that do this kind of work.
Okay. That is good to know. And that's the kind of training that we also look at when we're working with businesses, because as a healthcare worker who worked in dementia spaces for a long time, it's, you forget what you don't know. You forget what you know, and sort of the expertise that you develop over time that other people don't have. And lots of our community members who live with memory changes as they age are living in the community independently or with family. And so the more people who are aware, the better age-friendly community we have. So yeah, I'm grateful for that training.
Yes, thank you. And it's my understanding there are also annual retraining requirements. That's the refresher part. And also there was an extensive stakeholder process. So I believe that the facilities that provide this kind of care, and I know for sure, most certainly the hospitals that provide this kind of care, they had an input into the rulemaking. So I don't think there was controversy with it, but it's important to spread the word and start asking these folks to get into compliance with that. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for that great report.
Yeah.
Let's see, we have another Roland.
Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you. I'm Roland Gardine, Mayor Pro Tem McCallahan.
Roland, can we get you to lean a little closer to your mic, please?
Farther away or closer away?
Closer.
Closer. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Are we operating under the sunshine laws?
Under the sunshine laws?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the sunshine laws.
Okay, okay. Do we give any kind of a, do you give any kind of a mediator type of ability for the people that live in a facility and the management?
So we wouldn't be the organization to provide that direct service, but we would love to have those companies who would be able to provide a mediator. We'd love to have them in our network, because those are the community-based organizations who we would like to help build the age-friendly community with.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And I will get with you later about that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely.
Now, dealing with, what is a CBO?
Oh, I'm so sorry. A community-based organization. Yeah.
Now, on the housing end of it, okay, are you dealing then with privately owned facilities, or are you dealing with the governmental facilities, or what?
So we would like to work with organizations that are helping build a system that serves the needs of everyone who needs to live here. All that to say that we don't work, we're not invested necessarily in what the living space would be, so much as making sure that everybody has a place to live. And a good partner of ours is the Pikes Peak Housing Network. That recently they changed names from the Affordable Housing Collaborative. That group serves Southern Colorado, and they were formed under the first 5 years of the Age Friendly Colorado Springs Action Plan. And their mission is to, well, maybe I should not say, I believe that their mission, I can't say it off the top of my head, but they want to educate people and they want to build systems that provide affordable housing. And when we think about housing for innovations in aging, this is a really good example of how we serve both the needs and the opportunities of older adults. Because I want, no matter how old we get in Pikes Peak region, I want people to be able to live where they want to live, whether that means aging in place, whether that means moving in with your family, whether that means moving into assisted living, wherever you want to be and need to be. But also, if we're going to have people getting older in the Pikes Peak region, which we do, we need affordable housing for workers. Because if we don't have housing that serves the needs of young families, people who are nurses, teachers, firefighters, military, then we don't have a community. And all we have is older adults who have affordable housing, but not the rest of the community that supports everyone. So we do serve, like, our lens is aging, but it's truly intergenerational because we need affordable housing for everybody if we're all going to grow older here together.
So when is the El Paso County phase going to be implemented? Is it already implemented now?
The El Paso County phase for innovations in aging for the Pikes Peak. Yeah. So we applied in July for age-friendly designation in El Paso County, and we've been approved with the age-friendly networks in the United States. So El Paso County is officially an age-friendly county. And the work that we did in 2022, yes, because 2023. So the work in 2022 was convening the community, convening work groups, designing the action plan. And that was kind of a 9-month process to get it going. We submit that action plan to the county. And now June or July moving into August, we're going to be starting the implementation throughout the county.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Get there. I did see Jody jump up when you were asking about the mentoring, and I assumed you wanted to speak to our ombudsman program is reaching that population. Wow, was that good or not?
Yeah, it's reading my mind. So I do want to clarify, anyone living within long-term care, so that's assisted living and skilled nursing care, has access and has an assigned ombudsman. That ombudsman team is out of our office at PPACG. And so they serve as advocates for individuals who live in long-term care. And that is all ages, not just older adults, but that is all ages. All residents have access to an assigned ombudsman for their community. The challenge, I think, is possibly some of that language. They do not serve as mediators. They are there to represent the resident. So just wanted to make that clarification, because there are opportunities where mediation may be required, especially if it's a legal issue between the resident and the facility. However, issues ranging from abuse to suspected abuse to cold dinner, those kind of calls we get all the time. And that's where our ombudsman staff go into their long-term care community and serve as the voice for that resident. So just wanted to clarify that a little bit.
Okay, the reason for my question is we do have a severe issue out in my area, okay? And it's going to be addressed. And I'm actually putting together a game plan to solve that problem. Okay, but it is a privately owned facility. The residents, men, and the management are totally left and right. Okay, so then we need to have a mediator get in there and solve these issues. So.
Yes, I know that some conversations came up when the ombudsman were there in Calhan for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day month. That comment came up at last month's meeting, but I know that there's a process in place with the folks who were there as speakers. Just to clarify, even though it is privately owned, it still has state oversight and it has to follow the state
Right.
requirements. And so our ombudsmen are part of that process. And so the ownership doesn't change the fact that our ombudsmen play a role.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
Commissioner Stone?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Aaron, thank you for coming out today and for your report. Couple of things I would like to make you aware of that we're working on, both as PPACG as well as our county. I think also cities on the affordable housing issue that you brought up, not only the affordable housing for the workforce that we need to support our seniors, but also the availability of affordable housing for our seniors, especially those who are wanting to perhaps downsize and reduce their footprint, which makes other housing available for families that are growing, is that we are forming a stakeholder group to look at reform of the construction defects law so that hopefully we can spur the resumption of the building of condo projects, whether those be 55+ condo projects or condo projects that might serve the entry-level housing market, which would support the workforce that you talked about earlier. I don't know if Andy has, I'm sure he's already talked to Jody about our meeting that we already had, but as we work forward in this, we're looking late July, early August to set up just an initial stakeholder meeting for ideas for how do we help open up that segment of the market that for 22 years has been stifled due to essentially the regulations set by government. So that's something we want to work on because we see that's a big part of our housing market that's missing, and we're now reaping the rewards of having pushed that down for nearly a quarter of a century. So just wanted you to be aware of that. So thank you.
Are you connected with the Pikes Peak Housing Network?
Well, through this organization.
We are.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, BJ Scott and her group.
Good.
So I haven't reached out to them yet for the roundtable, but that'll be the
Yeah.
next step. And you're on the list. So.
Okay, yes. And when I talk about, when I said, one of the beauties of my job is I don't have to be the expert in everything, but I get to talk to these incredibly brilliant people who are solving issues, that they are definitely the team who are best educated on what the needs are in this community and good ways to move forward. So I'm glad that you're already talking to BJ. Thank you.
I think she described our role too. We don't have to be experts in everything. We just have to gather them.
And it makes for a fun day, right? When you just get to talk to good, smart people all day.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments for Aaron?
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Such a pleasure to speak with you today. So thanks for your support.
All right. And thank you for coming all the way up here. Thank you, Jody. All right. That takes us to item B, the US 24 corridor update.
And Scott with CDOT is gonna handle that, I believe, unless John, are you kicking things off or just straight to Scott? Super.
I don't think your mic is on.
Does that work better?
Yes,
There we
thank
go.
you.
I'm gonna try to share my screen real fast, and if that doesn't work, we've got a still map of US 24 that we'll bring up. So. Okay. So we'll just be going through US 24 and as part of our update for CDOT. John will talk for a minute after this too. But starting up on the west, stop me if you have any questions, of course. And to caveat this, all the smaller projects in particular, we've been having some trouble with awarding due to less bids and some high costs. So all these dates before these aren't guaranteed. Everything's funding dependent and dependent on getting bids. So in 2027, our traffic group has a signal replacement planned in Divide at 67 and 24. That same year, they'll be doing a signal replacement at 67 and 24 in Woodland Park also. So both legs of 67. So in 2025, we're planning on rural paving project as part of the 10-year capital plan. It'll start where we're currently working on a rural pave or on a surface treatment project that goes from Chipeta Park up to milepoint 281. And this project in 2025 will tie into that same location and go further to the west. We're hoping to get to Lake George. That depends on how far the funding stretches, of course. 2024, there's a signal replacement planned at Trout Creek and Aspen Garden. As I mentioned, the signal replacement at 67 and 24. 2025, we're planning to do some signal retiming on US 24. There was previously some done on 24, but there will be another effort. So kind of going down the hill. As I mentioned, there's the current resurfacing project. Right now, you'll see the milled surface on westbound, and then the freshly paved surface on eastbound. There's a good amount of ADA ramps that are getting replaced with that project. So that's ongoing, expected to be completed this summer or this fall. So as part of that project, and kind of in line with what we mentioned, there's we've been trying to advertise the project for some access improvements at the cliff dwellings, but we're unable to award that due to bids and not getting enough bids and competitive bids. So we're actually going to change order that into the current resurfacing project to get those improvements at that cliff dwellings access to get those made. In 2024, our traffic group is expecting to do some queue detection warning system installation at 31st Street and US 24. There's some pedestrian improvements planned on the north side of US 24 from 8th Street to 31st Street, mostly having to do with the ramps and push buttons. So not a huge installation of sidewalk, but just more improving what's out there for the most part. And one of the bigger things we wanted to talk about today, I think, was the Ridge Road overpass project. So that is part of the 10-year plan. And right now we're just starting off on design. So we're just starting to look at what the EA has, and we'll be selecting a consultant later this year to help us. It would be a blended team effort. So we'll be getting going in 2023 on taking a look at what all that project includes for scope. The basics of it is that we plan to have US 24 go up over Ridge Road. It's an overpass for the EA, which is what we're planning on doing. So there won't be ramps down, but we'll be working on making sure that the connectivity between the neighborhoods to the southwest, as well as Red Rock Canyon open space, will be able to go under US 24 with bike and ped connectivity. So it'll be able to get to Colorado Avenue and the Midland Trail. So we'll plan to have some public involvement and an EA reevaluation as part of that. So there'll be a good amount of process and involvement as we go forward with that project. So somehow I did skip over there's a couple things on State Highway 67 that we'll be doing. So not exactly related to 24, but right off the side of it. So we're planning to advertise a project this fall that's part of the 10-year plan. The US 24 or the State Highway 67 widening to 4 lanes and a turning lane from County Road, Evergreen Heights, to Kelly's Road. So this little half mile, you know it from the ditch that's off the side of US 20 or off 67. So in the end, that'll be curb and gutter, 4 lanes with drainage underneath the highway. We actually originally it was a Woodland Park project, and we took their plans and as the 10-year project, took it from there, updating the plans right now to CDOT standards to include what we need to for our contract purposes. It also includes a resurfacing from Evergreen Heights down to US 24. So that little half mile. So in the end, after that project, which we're planning on, that'll be a 2024 project. The plan is to have the first mile of 24 be all new pavement. In addition to that, there is a smaller effort on the south side of 67 south of Divide that hasn't gotten started yet, but it's a 10-year 2027 plus project of shoulder widening, safety improvements, and potentially passing lane on 67 south of Divide. So that is the majority of what I wanted to talk to you guys about on US 24. Probably went through that a little bit faster. So if there's any questions, oh, I guess one more to talk about, and it was discussed earlier, is the reliever route study that's ongoing. So that's still CDOT's ready to partner. There's some funding lined up available for a match from CDOT, and just ready to get going on that one when the town and the county are ready to go. So,
Madam
John?
Chair? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Madam Chair, got a couple questions.
Yeah, I was gonna ask for questions or comments.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So I'm just kind of curious because I've seen this. It seems to be kind of a practice in a lot of places here in Colorado. Going back to that Ridge Road project. If I heard you right, and maybe I misunderstood you, but the intention there is to build a plan to elevate 24 to go over Ridge Road. And I'm just curious why we wouldn't do it the other way around. In other words, build a bridge for Ridge Road to go over 24. Because the Ridge Road bridge, if you were to make that a bridge, it would just have to be a 2-lane bridge, 1 lane each way. If you elevate 24, you've got to elevate at least 4 lanes. So it just seems to me like the cost would be a lot more to elevate 24 than to elevate Ridge Road.
No, it's a very good question. We'll definitely take a final look at it. But the main challenge is on Ridge Road, you've got a bridge here, an intersection here, and an intersection here. And so just getting Ridge Road to go up high enough to go over US 24 or burying 24 deep enough to be below Ridge Road would be pretty difficult. And then you'd also have to carry all the bike and pedestrian facilities up over 24, which I think most of the time people are more comfortable with the idea of a consistent grade and not having to go up and over a major road to use the bike and ped facilities. So that's the main reason that we will be taking a final look at it with as we get into design.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's just very little traffic on Ridge Road in comparison to 24, and that'd have to be a massive bridge for 24. But for whatever it's worth, I appreciate doing it. You're doing it, and I'm glad that you're contemplating getting started anywhere. But in that corridor, everybody that knows that commutes down from Woodland Park into Colorado Springs to work, or maybe going out into the mountains from Colorado Springs, that road really severely backs up, just completely clogs up on a summer day, and also during commuting time. Coming into Colorado Springs, it can back up past Manitou Springs and start going into the pass as a backup. So eventually it'd be great to have grade separation on all of those interchanges. And I do remember having a conversation with CDOT. I think the water table's not very low, so you can't really go down too much. But it still makes more sense to me in my mind for Ridge Road to be the bridge. And I like to joke about this a little bit. I grew up in New Jersey, and how they were able to put roads into tight spaces was amazing. It seems like we don't have that practice here, but they could put bridges and on-ramps and off-ramps into some of the most amazing tight spaces and do it very effectively. I appreciate your point. It's got to be so high, and then you've got to ramp down and ramp down and up and so forth on both sides. But that kind of scenario, to the point that you made, to what I saw as far as road construction in New Jersey, would be a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer. So I just wonder if it'd be less expensive to elevate Ridge Road. So,
yeah, that's something we'll be taking a look at with costs and all the impacts and what's physically possible. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Donaldson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to offer my support for Commissioner Vanderwerf's request to take a look at that. Just with the inconvenience of blocking off the larger road, that's a big deal. And I used to be a cyclist commuter. Going over one little bridge like that, not a big deal. And in the wintertime too, the bridges are what ice up. And so if we're going to have something icing up the smaller road with less traffic, and maybe that's even another consideration. So I would ask you to take a look.
Any other comments? Mayor Pro Tem Case.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify the 67 from Evergreen Heights to Kelly's Road is in the 10-year plan. Any idea what year that is kind of planned for right now?
Yeah, we're planning for advertisement this fall and construction next summer.
Oh.
It'd be a significant project in that area, but we should be able to complete it next year, I believe.
Thank you.
But to note, there is a local agency project to the north of that from Woodland Park too. So there's two separate efforts. There's just a bit farther north of what we're talking about.
Right, that's up its Research Drive.
Yeah.
The turn lanes and widening there, correct?
That's it, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember, I'm Mayor Pro Tem Roland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You guys already declared them on the 10-year plan on Highway 24 between Falcon and Stapleton, widening the road. Okay, what year is that going to be started and complete?
So that's a good question for John. So 24 East, I believe Andy Steckline's unit is managing that one. So you're talking about the one west of Stapleton?
Yes.
The 10-year project on 24, basically around Falcon.
Yes.
Yes. So that project is in the 23 to 26 list. So we're looking at, we probably got about inclusive of this year, we got about 3 years of design, of the design process, pre-construction process.
Yeah, I know we have a
Initial design, a lot of right of way, and we anticipate having to do an environmental assessment. So essentially an environmental assessment, then finish the design, then right of way, and you can kind of swag each of those as a year, 23, 24, 25. And so hopefully we'd be anticipating 26 to begin construction.
Okay, thank you.
And another thing to note too, there is some other work planned east 24. We're just trying to focus on the west side, so don't mean to neglect that. There's a resurfacing project planned from Falcon to Peyton and a passing lane planned just east of Calhoun that we're working on. So
I'm going to make sure you don't forget us.
nope.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Commissioner Stone.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Couple things. First off, thank you for the great update, and thank you, of course, to CDOT and PPACG for the investment in Highway 24 in Teller County. Obviously, it's our artery, but it's also your guys' artery to get to the mountains. So we appreciate that. The Highway 24 67 intersection and divide. You mentioned two separate pieces there, one being the resignalization of the intersection at 67 and 24, and the second one being the safety, not study, but the safety issues you're going to be looking at directly south of there on Highway 67. And actually that was added in my request a couple of years ago because of the safety of that intersection and looking at extending those safety considerations all the way up to that. As you guys are resignaling, are you going to be looking at all at any lane adjustments within that intersection? If you've been up there, obviously there's a significant sightline issues, especially for left-hand turns going on to 67 off of westbound 24. We're getting a lot of T-bones in there. And also with the neck down to just one lane to continue west on 24, it's also creating a significant through-fare bottleneck that could be resolved with 2 through lanes and then a widening further west into actually where there's a CDOT facility where I believe you own all the land, where you could be able to possibly widen out past that intersection and then reduce down to 2 lanes where appropriate over the top of the hill to improve safety, again, for those reasons.
Yeah, I'll talk to our traffic department about the sightline issues. I haven't discussed that with them, but I know one thing we have talked about is the potential of removing this little island and allowing this to be a through or right movement to go through, and then it doesn't carry very far, but at least they'd be able to merge here beyond the intersection. So I don't know that there's any funding lined up that would be able to extend this lane. We'll be resurfacing it, but they would like to include this, looking at how to get that lane not to dive off and go to be a forced right, but allow it to continue through and merge past the intersection. So that is something we're looking at.
Okay. And then just a couple other comments or for clarification, you said the resurfacing Highway 67 from Highway 24 up to Evergreen Station, you have slated right now for 2024. Is that correct?
That's correct. So yeah, this coming next summer, it'll be one project that resurfaces the first half mile to Evergreen Heights and then reconstructs and widens the next half mile up to Kelly's Road.
Okay. And then the last comment, not question, is be very, very careful with the light adjustments that you may make through Woodland Park. I know that's something that City of Woodland Park and the county had great discussions with. You guys did an amazing job relieving a lot of that congestion just through good, well-timed traffic signalization. So my only comment, again, be really careful because right now,
It's working
I think
well.
it's working.
It's working very well.
So be really, really careful.
Just through town. when
In other
it
words,
really starts to
don't mess it up. Don't.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I know it was more of just an overall US 24 signal retiming. So I'm sure Pepper will be working with all of you that are involved as they go forward with that.
Yeah.
And that's
And that's a
2025,
compliment,
I
by
think.
the way. I don't know if you caught
Good.
that, but it
No, I appreciate that.
really did relieve a very large problem because not only was it solving the problem of the backup of congestion, but also that bail off reliever traffic that was going on to the county road there, which was creating significant dust, speed, and safety issues, really on what's a residential road versus for just people trying to get around what was a problem, but which is no longer a problem thanks to your traffic engineers.
Yeah, thank you. We'll pass that along.
Okay, any other questions or
Madam
comments?
Chair,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I have a question. If there's anything in the works for Green Mountain Falls Road along Highway 24 with the increased frequency of traffic coming down from Woodland Park and up through Manitou Springs, we have had T-boning at that intersection, and with the increased frequency, I'm anticipating even more T-boning.
I'm not aware of anything, but do you have Pepper's contact information? Pepper Whitliff? I can get you her information and she'd be your best contact to start talking about what issues you all have seen that we may not be aware of.
Mainly
and
just
what
the
she may
increased
be.
frequency and
Yeah.
with the, especially with tourism traffic, we're gonna get cars smacked out there.
Yeah, I'll get you her contact information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and this is Commissioner Vandorf, if I might add to that, it's my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the school buses cross that road right at the time when people are commuting up and down 24. I think it's a high risk kind of situation. And I think it would be very reasonable in some type of long-term plan to get some kind of a grade separation, something or other that allows for a safer access to Green Mountain Falls for kids and for people that go there for tourism. I think it'd be really great for the community. So it may or may not be something for today, or next year, or whatever, but I really think it'd be worthwhile to think about it because this road's going to get more and more heavily used with time as Colorado Springs grows. So I think the risks are just going to keep going up, and somewhere along the way, we're going to want to do something. Thanks.
Mayor Graham.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Scott, you had mentioned the intersection of Highway 24 and Cave of the Winds Road. Could you bring that up on the map? And I know this has been a vexing problem for CDOT engineers. I think you're the fourth CDOT engineer. I'm going to mention this too. But this is a particularly hazardous intersection. We could take a look at it. It's going to be fairly obvious. And this is a hazard not just to Manitou residents, but anybody who uses Highway 24, especially the westbound lanes. Because as traffic is exiting the cliff dwellings, if they want to cross the road and come either down into Manitou or probably more typically, a lot of users are going to turn east and head towards Colorado Springs. They have to basically dodge traffic, and this is the highway is very busy there, especially this time of year, and we've got a lot of tourists. People go up to the Cave of the Winds not realizing they're going to have to make this difficult transition across both lanes of traffic. And for that matter, it's similar coming up from Manitou Springs there on Sunshine Trail. And if you have to make a left turn and head west up the pass, it's disproportionately risky. I drive that intersection a lot, and it's not unusual to see people with their eyes bulging out of their eye sockets this time of year trying to get across the street. Well, yeah, there should be a right turn only, and I believe that's the intent of the work that you're trying to get done. So if there's any way to expedite that, I know that this relatively small size makes it difficult to get a contractor, but it seems to me it's not that much money, and it would provide a huge safeguard. And I believe the intent there is to make that a right turn only as people come out of the Cave of the Winds Road, and then they'd have the opportunity to make a left hand or use the light a little farther to the west there on Cave of the Winds Road, and they can make a U-turn. So if there's anything that can be done that the city of Manitou Springs could help lobby a contractor for, we would certainly be interested in doing that. But it's a hazard, and it's a continuing concern for a number of Manitou residents and people who typically live up the pass. So thank you.
You brought up a very good analysis. Our traffic unit has advertised project to make those very modifications. They were unsuccessful. And right now we are attempting to negotiate that work into the resurfacing project that is ongoing through Woodland Park. So we're doing those kind of negotiations with the contractor. We have some rules and things like that, environmental clearance type things that highly discourage us making change orders outside of the limits of a project, but we kind of have some tentative headquarters approvals already, thumbs up on that. So we're working on that, and we do anticipate being able to get the contractor Kiewit to do that exact improvement here this summer.
Okay, thank you very much. And, we'll give them as much free mineral water as they'd like to have. Whatever we can do, we'll make them honorary citizens. So great. Thank you much.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, I have one more item. I'm sorry, forgot about it a while ago. Callahan Highway and 24 intersection. Okay, we brought it up. You guys sent out an engineer man looking at it in this project, but we haven't heard anything since. We want to get this intersection taken care of due to the fact that we're going to have a lot of school buses going through there, and we've already had some T-bones going on there. So I don't like this microphone.
I will. I'm the one I asked Pepper to get in touch with you guys with our traffic unit. It's definitely our traffic that is gonna, hopefully have the flexibility to be able to resolve that. On the engineering side, we just don't have the resources and stuff with the flexibility to immediately, do that. So I will follow up with her and ask her to check in with you, see where that landed.
Thank you very much.
And I would just like to invite, I know we have the CDOT update agenda item further down, but I'm fine to do it right now if it's more convenient, or just wait till then patiently.
What would everybody, I'm going to just continue with the CDOT update.
That's fine.
Okay, I'm going to ask Commissioner Elsner to take over the meeting for just a minute, please.
Okay.
I think that was just fine, so go ahead.
Okay. So one big highlight, I just want to make sure, so moving back really into the Colorado Springs area, I-25 Fillmore to Garden of the Gods improvement, safety and operational improvements, that is under ad right now and anticipated to have bid openings on the 20th of July. So obviously very optimistic that we'll hopefully get good bids on that. The MAMSIP project and the Highway 115 project in the last month or so have had some significant traffic shifts and all, and they both are both of those projects, 115 from basically the main post on Fort Carson south, right, about 15 miles worth of work. Those projects are rocking and rolling and will continue through next summer. A couple little highlights on the MAMSIP project. Basically want to say, if you will, congratulations and thanks for El Paso County, the Academy project. We think that, certainly from my perspective, I believe it got NTP too, or is very imminent on that notice to proceed. So great. That's really the kind of the capstone the final project there with the MAMSIP, and it'll be really, really great for that whole section. And thanks for those who attended the jug handle ribbon cutting, the 94 jug handle at Blaney. I had to miss it. I was on vacation, but thank you for for those who attended that. Ramp metering installations continue, Northgate and Woodman. And that's the active construction projects as well. So thank you.
Yeah, but you left out Park County.
I did, we briefed those on Monday.
Well, some people may not have heard everything going on in Park County.
There is lots of stuff going on in Park County. There's a couple, especially right there in the Fairplay area. We have the 9 and 285 project, which thank you, Commissioner. You all provided, I felt some pretty positive feedback. We appreciate that in terms of how that's going. Obviously, we got a full year's plus of work there, replacing the bridge structure and improvements right there in Fairplay on 285, some on 9. A lot of work in that area. The R2B2, the bridge bundle project, will replace the bridge just north of Alma. Looks like there's going to be a full closure of 9 for any sort of, commercial through traffic anyways. Probably the Thursday after Labor Day is when that'll kick in. They're just further north, a little bit further north of Alma. We're building a chain up station for Hoosier Pass northbound. By the way, maybe in the next year or two, we'll have one for southbound on the other side of the pass as well. So a lot of work on that. R2B2 also finished off a couple opened up the traffic anyways on a couple of bridges down there by Antero Reservoir, and they're working on one down there on 9 near the county line there with at the edge of Fremont County. Have another one planned on 24. We had some rock blasting. We blew up a big boulder, as a matter of fact, just the other day this week on 24, just west of where we're at right here on just west of Woodland Park here. And that little curve correction project is going well. One on 67, actually in Douglas County, similar project, but just across the county line. And that project that did that in Douglas County is also going to be putting a pullout on 67 for southbound, about 1,000 foot pullout for trucks, slow vehicle trucks and stuff. Basically a mini passing lane down by County Road 81, about 10 miles south there of 10 miles south of the intersection 24 there. So, yeah.
Well, and I have to say, because I made so much noise about our winery in Bailey.
Yes.
There is I think it's a little over $3 million project now.
Yes.
Working on the curve at the bottom of Crow Hill to put in some guardrail and dividers and better turn lanes. So hopefully our winery will last longer than its history has been, because it seems like every 2 to 3 years, some part of it gets removed by a truck that can't figure out how to drive down the hill. And then the road, Highway 9, just north of Alma, I could say do not plan on using that road the first week or 2 of September after Labor Day, because it is going to be closed. And the suggested route to get to Breckenridge will be through Leadville. So it's kind of a long ways around. So just be aware. I'm warning everybody I can, because Fairplay gets kind of clogged when things like that happen.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I do have one. I thank you so much for retiming the lights by the Duckwood and 85 there. I think it's made a great impact on the traffic through town, especially in the mornings and the evenings. So that has been a great asset for Fountain and the security residents. I would be remiss though if I didn't mention their number one favorite project. We had a bit of a rain. Everybody did, right? And hail and Highway 85, once again, between Fontaine and down to Mesa Ridge Parkway area, a lot of the work you did with the pothole repairs is washed out or been compromised. And I noticed they were doing something the other day, but it just really, really needs to continue repairing that, because that is one of the most popular subjects we get hit up with every time we go somewhere. And then the overpass on Mesa Ridge Parkway too. People are just concerned with it. There's like a bump when you go between the freeway and like the city of Fountain. There's like this bump like it's shifted or dropped or something and people are, really noticing in their cars. So I know those are two areas that we've talked about in the past, but just continue to be a concern for our area. So thank you. I still love my roundabout. Love my roundabout. So
We'll pass along the thanks.
Mamson project. We have the oversized one, so it's wonderful. Yeah. All right. Any other questions or comments? What we'll do here is the lunches have arrived. I assume Cheryl, you got a special one for me. And but feel free to go get your lunches since we are running a little bit late. We do need to get people back down the hill for RTA. Grab your lunch and we'll continue working. So just turn your microphone off while you're chewing potato chips, please. And
Madam Chair,
yes.
I believe she might be signaling
Oh.
something.
It's not ready.
Yeah,
Oh, not quite ready?
not ready.
Okay, as soon as Cheryl waves at us, feel free to go grab your lunch while we keep going here. So we'll just call it a working lunch. So we have updates by Teller County, cities of Woodland Park, Cripple Creek, and Victor and Teller Senior Coalition.
Madam Chair, I might suggest, I know we have Teller Senior Coalition, Kathy Lowry is here. Maybe we can start with our two senior service, our AAA service providers. Ted is here as well, Ted Borden from the Aspen Mine Center over in Cripple Creek. Why don't we start there? I would suggest one of the benefits of moving our meetings around to Teller County, Park County, is we get to hear what's happening within our communities there. So maybe we start with our AAA service providers, hear about the great things that are happening up here. And then if our local jurisdictions here want to give some updates on the good things happening across the county in Victor, Cripple Creek, Woodland Park, Teller County, we can do that as well. And it's Deb, not to put Deb Miller on the spot, thank you for hosting us here. And this is your space for the Chamber of Commerce, Greater Woodland Park Chamber of Commerce. So she may want to, if you want to give an update as well, Deb, feel free. That'd be fine. But also I want to thank City of Woodland Park and Mayor Pro Tem Kelly Case, especially for helping to make lunch available and help us with our accommodations today. So really appreciate your hospitality. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's really scary how in sync we're getting with this because I was actually going to go down that path.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. So if we have our people, Kathy Lowry. Okay. And I didn't catch all the names Andy said. So
Ted would be next.
okay, Ted. All right. Thank you.
How about now? All right, sounds better. All right, well, thank you for inviting me to update all of you on what's happening with the Teller Senior Coalition and all the services we provide to seniors in Teller County. My name is Kathy Lowry. I'm the executive director. I've been involved with the coalition probably for about 7 years now. And we're fortunate we have a senior leadership team. All of our managers have been with the organization for 5 years or more. So we're pretty seasoned in everything that we do to help seniors. So last year we helped over 1,300 seniors and residents in Teller County with our services. Our goal is to provide services that help seniors live independently with dignity and allow them to remain in their homes as long as possible. A big part of what we do is transportation. We had 9 vehicles, so we just bought a new one. Thank you to PPACG and ARPA funding for that. We so appreciate it. We're now at 10 with 1 more to come. We provide about 750 rides a month to medical appointments, for dialysis, for food shopping, for all sorts of medical treatments. We take seniors and residents down to Colorado Springs for specialized treatment. So we are on the road a lot with our vehicles. Amazingly, we have about 76 residents in wheelchairs. And thank you to Woodland Park for putting in the curbs for our people in wheelchair. I'm so thrilled, and I really appreciate that. About half of what we do is transportation. And with transportation, we don't only serve Teller County. We go down to Cascade. We do Green Mountain Falls. We do Eastern Park County. We go all the way to Guffey. So we have a pretty broad area that we're covering in terms of our transportation services. We have very seasoned drivers. Most of them have been with us for a long time. And I think we get great feedback on our transportation services. We have 4 vehicles that can transport individuals in wheelchairs. And, you know, to be honest, if we didn't provide that transportation, these people would be stuck without any way to get to where they need to go. And we are, thank you again for the ARPA funding, going to be able to get a additional wheelchair vehicle. That's one area that we're struggling with because we have more demand than we have vehicles for right now. And we're averaging about 25 new clients a month for transportation services. So our demand for that service is increasing, and that's why it's so important that we're able to add to our vehicle fleet. So then the other key program that we have relates to nutrition. We have seniors that are homebound, that can't get out of their homes. And so we're able to bring them our home delivery meal program. We serve about 45 clients. And again, for this program, we go from Cascade to Eastern Park. So we can, if individuals in those areas need nutrition support, we're able to meet that need. We also have senior food boxes for low-income seniors. And I have a very well-stacked food pantry. Someone comes out of the hospital, so often they go home, they have no food. We're able to immediately get groceries out to them so they have something to cover them in the interim until they feel well enough to go to the store. So I don't know if everyone's aware, but that the food stamps or the SNAP benefits were reduced recently, which is a tremendous hardship for a lot of our seniors who get food stamps. We were fortunate that the state of Colorado made funds available for food pantries. They wanted us to be well stocked to meet the need that they knew was coming with the reduction in food stamps. The Teller Senior Coalition took the lead, but we're working with Aspen Mine Center, Community Partnership, and the Little Chapel in Divide. We got a $75,000 grant to restock our food pantries, and we need to spend half of that by the end of August. So with those additional resources for individuals in our community, there should be no reason anyone in Teller County doesn't have the food that they need. And that was a great win for us. So in addition, we provide a lot of additional services to seniors. We have case managers who meet with seniors, work with them to, identify what they need for healthy living. We try to find the right resources for them. We're problem solvers and deliver a lot of results for our seniors. We make calls to about 80 seniors just to check on them. How are you doing? What's going on? What do you need? So that's a service that we provide. For seniors who are no longer able to keep their home clean, we'll provide a resource to go out and clean their home, make it healthy for them. For seniors who need grab bars or railings or ramps, we'll install those to make sure their home is safe. We just installed a ramp for a lady here in Woodland Park, and we're working on another ramp for another lady in Woodland Park. So that's something that we can do. We have built a pool of volunteers that will go out to seniors' homes and help them with minor home repairs. Maybe they have a high light bulb that they can't change. We'll get one of those poles and make the change for them. We'll provide yard work, snow shoveling, fire mitigation through this pool of volunteers that goes out and helps our seniors. If a senior gets behind on their heat bill, or their electric bill if they heat with electric, or they need wood or propane, we have a program that can help with heating costs to make sure our seniors are able to stay warm through the winter. We have a reading library. We have a puzzle supply. So if a senior needs a book to read or a puzzle to do, they're welcome to come in and just grab it. We also have a computer on site for seniors to use, and we have someone there to help them because we know seniors struggle with computers. But almost anything you do anymore, you have to be able to access the computer. So we work with them to help them with whatever they need. We did a survey of our clients last year. 96% of them would recommend our services to another senior. And we typically get very high satisfaction marks from our seniors. One thing that's interesting about our organization is most of us who work there or volunteer there are seniors ourselves. So we're seniors helping seniors. And we think that brings a special understanding of the needs of our seniors. As I mentioned before, our leadership team has 5 years or more of experience. We work closely with our service partners, the Aspen Mine Center, who you hear from shortly, Community Partnership we work with on things, and the Little Chapel and the Community Cupboard, and probably any other organization that provides services to seniors. So I think by us all working together, we're really able to I think, take really good care of the seniors in this community. So some new things that I wanted to talk about. You know, after the pandemic, we know that a lot of our seniors were stranded in their homes for basically 2 years or more. So a lot of what we've been focusing on is getting them some fun, getting them some social activities, getting them something to look forward to. So we started bingo every other week. It's now at the Little Chapel and Divide. We have coffee and donuts, and we have typically 20 to 25 seniors every time we have the bingo. We do monthly trips. Actually, yesterday we had a trip to the castle in Manitou Springs, and then the seniors got to walk around and shop a little bit and have a lunch out. And we try to do that every month. So that's one thing we've been focusing on. In May, we did a senior appreciation lunch celebrating Older Americans Month. That was again at the Little Chapel and Divide. And we had 70 seniors there, and they just had a great time. And we had a comedian there, and it was just for fun, just to get the seniors out and enjoying themselves. We also did a joint event with the Summit Elementary School. So we've created a partnership, and we had a readathon where seniors went into the elementary school. We had lunch. The seniors had lunch with student council, and then the seniors read to the students if they were younger, or the older students read to the seniors. So it was a great event, and we're looking to plan more events of that nature in the future. So probably for some of those in the room, you may want to hear about the bus routes that we're starting. We started a bus from Cripple Creek Victor to Woodland Park every Friday. This bus started last fall, and we've built up to about 8 to 10 riders every Friday. So we pick people up in the Victor Cripple Creek area. We bring them to Woodland Park. They can go to Walmart or Safeway or wherever, post office, banking, and then we take them back at the end of the day. This is not a bus route where we pick people up at a bus stop, because that just doesn't really work in Teller County. People live too far out. So we actually pick them up at their home and bring them to Woodland Park and then take them back at the end of the day. We have just started a similar route from Lake George. So Lake George area to Woodland Park and then back again. And we are talking to Park County about fair play, bringing a bus down to meet with our bus. And I'm looking at you because we want your support on this. And we know you have a vehicle. So we'd like to meet somewhere in Lake George, people from Fair Play who would be interested in going to Woodland Park for shopping or whatever. So that would be the idea. We updated our website and logo. So I think we're a little bit more modern and a little more informational. And I hate to say this with this group, but we are looking at doing a planning grant to see what we need to do long-term, and I mean really long-term, about migrating to electric vehicles. And I think that's all I have to report. Does anybody have any questions?
Commissioner Elsner?
Yeah, yes, well, Fairplay just got 2 buses. I'm not sure if those are the ones you're talking about. I think one of those might be available. Not too sure. You know, I am impressed with how much help we do get from you guys in Park County. And I'm also very impressed that someone knows the town of Guffey. You know, I always tell people, are you serving Guffey? And they go, what? But it is very, very appreciated on how much work that you've done in Park County trying to get Guffey. And if you've ever been to Guffey, it's a scary place. It's a really neat little town, but One of the houses is filled with bones outside. I mean, it's just really weird, but it's a great place to visit and getting our seniors, because Guffey is a retirement area for a lot of military. You know, they serve in the Colorado Springs area and then they like to go up into the mountains and they end up in Guffey. So I really appreciate all the work you've done.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this, Mike. Go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Eric, you try.
Great set of programming. Thank you for giving the presentation. I will mention I think the seniors reading to kids and kids reading to seniors is awesome. I do have a question though, and I just didn't hear you mention it. You know, families should have obligations to take care of the senior members of their families. So how are you working with families to make sure that the families are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, meeting their obligations, helping to take care of their seniors? I know sometimes families get busy and they forget about it, and then they start relying on other services like maybe yours, but really they should be the primary caregiver for these folks if they're available to do it. So how are you working to get families to do better at taking care of the seniors in their families?
You're bringing up a really big challenge. And, you know, some of the seniors are fortunate that they do have family members that live in the area, are close, and do, you know, assume some of the responsibilities for the seniors. But unfortunately, a lot of the seniors that we serve, they are estranged from their children. Their children live in Virginia or, you know, too far away to really be that involved. And that's actually the majority of our seniors. A lot of them live, you know, in the rural part of the county without any family nearby, sometimes without even really any neighbors nearby. And so they don't really have someone really other than us and, you know, human services and other social organizations in the county to reach out to. So it is a challenge for sure. And if you have a solution, let me know, because it's just, you know, I think the first thing when I hear about a problem with a senior, I'm like, well, is there family nearby? And so often the answer is no, they don't have any family nearby, or they are estranged from their family. So it is a problem. The ones that I think do better are the ones that do have their family helping them and, you know, providing support to them. You know, we try to step in. We're working with one senior right now. She's, you know, close to 90. She's out there living far out in the county by herself. And it's really been a challenge for us. She really shouldn't be driving, but she's driving. Scares me every time she gets on the road. But she doesn't really have any sort of support structure near her. So, you know, we're helping as best we can. But our resources are limited as well.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
just
as a suggestion, and perhaps you've tried it or whatever, but it's something that, you know, my mom lives in assisted living in New Jersey. I call her every Thursday.
Oh.
And, you know, she absolutely loves it. So maybe there's something you could do about like a Family Connect program where you try to figure out how to get the family members, if they can't be there to help, maybe they can kind of just call like once a week and try to encourage families to call their senior every week. I'm certain that senior will appreciate it. You do have to find, you know, I think in a lot of those cases, it's just the kids moved away or something.
Right.
So it isn't necessarily estranged, although there may be a few of those, but it almost seems to me like in every single family, there's somebody in that family, an uncle, an aunt, a cousin.
Right.
That is not estranged. So I think it's an idea of finding out who that is and then encourage them to call them often, maybe every Thursday or every Tuesday or something.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
But I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the issue of internet and cell phone service in Teller County, which is a challenge.
I can't help with that. But you know, I think having something, the other interesting part of trying to encourage a program like that and try to get it going and actually try to deliver those conversations is you might find yourself helping the senior by getting them connected to family resources that might not have been thought of or just wasn't addressed or something. So it might actually be a way to actually double down on whatever resources you have by having the families be engaged. So just some food for thought.
No, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'd like to make a quick comment on that one. This is a very rural area. A lot of, okay, they raise their kids can't find a job in rural Colorado, so they go somewhere else. A lot of them, the family is engaged. It's just they can't live there because there's no work for the family. And our whole goal is to have people age in place as long as they possibly can, because that is one of the least expensive ways to do this. And when you look at, the area of Park County we're worried about trying to get people, our population is 2 to 3 people per square mile.
Right.
So it's not that family isn't there. It's family can't be there because they don't have a place to work or a way to get there. So that's where the Senior Coalition does a tremendous help. That yes, the family is still engaged, but when, in my case, when I get old, okay, my daughter is in Thousand Oaks, California, and my son is in St. Croix. I don't think they're going to be able to help much. So, they want to be, they're involved, but what the Senior Coalition does is fill that gap because we want our seniors to be able to age in their house in Park County. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Elsner. And, it's interesting. And it's one of the reasons why, Andy, I just really love having the group come up here to Teller County, and later in the year we'll be up in Park, is that there really is significant difference between not just rural Colorado, but rural Colorado in this part of the state, and, being close to the city, but not in the city. Here in Teller County, 25% of our population are veterans. Our population is aging. I think our average age of people moving into the county now is, I think, Deb, about north of 57 or 58 years old. So what they're actually doing is they're fulfilling a lifelong dream, whether it's that they've come to the end of a long career with military or government or corporate life, and they've raised their kids, and their dream was always to live in the mountains of Colorado. And so they come to Teller County, they come to Park County, and they're in good health, and they're living out their dream. But the end of that dream is aging in place.
Right.
And because of that, we do have the challenges of internet. We have the challenges later on of transportation, and of course, healthcare access in the rural areas, which is a challenge for the entire population. So number one, of course, Kathy, you know how much we appreciate what you do and how, we support you here. And I know that Park County and El Paso County appreciates the services that you provide on those areas over the border, because frankly, I know you don't care if, they're 2 miles over into Park County or in Guffey, is that if you guys have the resources to help them, that you will. But I think the key point here is that so many of our aging population here in Teller County, their family isn't close by. And part of that is that, yeah, the kids grow up and move away. But I actually think a larger percentage is not that the kids grew up and moved away. It's that the kids grew up and the parents moved away. And they moved away to Teller County, and they moved away to Park County. And we're glad to have them. They're a vital part of our community. But as they age, it's not the same, as it is in the more urbanized areas of El Paso, where services are very close by. Oftentimes families are very close by because the economy is such that their families are employed closer, whether that's Denver or in the Colorado Springs metropolitan area. So that's kind of where the big difference is. A lot of times just that family isn't here because of choices that those families have made. So again, really appreciate, Kathy, your report and everything you said.
Hi, my question revolves around your funding and what your needs lists are. How do we find out what your needs are, things that people could assist you, and where does your funding come from and where are you short?
So the Teller Senior Coalition, obviously donations could be made through our webpage. That'd be wonderful. But we are funded through the Colorado Department of Transportation for our transportation services, Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments for a lot of the services that we provide. Those are our two main funding sources. We provide Medicaid non-emergency transportation that results in funding for us. We're very active in grant requests to various grant funders and have had quite a bit of success in that area. We do fundraisings. We're part of the Give campaign. So I guess the answer is wherever I can find money, that's where I'm going to get it. I go everywhere. So we have a lot of multiple funding sources, which I think is important just for the longevity of the organization. That's a great question. I'll have to put that on my website.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Just in the interest of time, I want to remind everybody here, we only have about 30 more minutes really before we're going to need to be heading down the mountain so people can get to their next meetings on time. So if you have any further questions for Kathy, her information's on the website. Thank you very much. And we're gonna, so if everybody could, maybe if you have specific questions, you can email the presenter at this point, just so we can give everybody the time that they need to get through their presentations. So, and I just checked with Commissioner Williams, we're going to be skipping the stack report. So give a little bit more time to the people that are here. And this is Ted Morton.
Ted Borden.
Thank you.
Yeah, so really excited. I just wanted to throw in the collaborative efforts that happen between both Aspen Mine Center, Teller Senior Coalition, Park County Senior Coalition, but ultimately the beauty of the Area Agency on Aging funding from the Older Americans Act doesn't relegate us to specific counties or geographic areas. They have to stay generally within the 3 counties that we do serve, but this allows a lot of flexibility between the counties so that they can collaborate across those borders for areas of transportation. During COVID, we saw a lot of efforts around meal delivery, pantry support. We bought the shelves that and the refrigerators and the freezers that enable this pantry, for example, and the frozen food. So just wanted to throw that out. That is something that's ongoing, and it's a constant part of how we operate. Also want to the rural efforts, the things that we've heard today, they're not lost on us. We continue to hear those. Woodland Park was the city I grew up going to once a month for shopping, that kind of thing, and so. The rural areas are quite near and dear to me and my heart and my service area. So, Ted, go ahead and jump in and
thank you, Jody. Appreciate that. Ted Borden, I'm the executive director for the Community of Caring Foundation. A lot of times people confuse Community of Caring with the Aspen Mine Center or AMC West. Those are the facilities. So Aspen Mine Center is a one-stop community resource center located in Cripple Creek. AMC West is our brand new facility, about a year old now, where we do our case management and our client services specific offices. So just a point of clarification there. So the conversations that you all were having with Kathy, and Kathy does an amazing job, and TSC is such a great organization. But those conversations are critical in a county like Teller because it's very unique, as you've heard. Commissioner Stone brought up some great considerations as far as why people actually are living in Teller County. The thing that excites me is because the collaborative, as Jody was mentioning, between not only the senior programs, the senior agencies, but all of the other agencies that provide services in Teller County. Teller County is pretty remarkable in that way. as I'm sure Park County is as well. I think everybody working collaboratively to integrate services and not just collaborate, but to actually be aware of who's doing what, be aware of not duplicating, but enhancing services and augmenting services is a critical component of what we do through community of caring, but also what Teller County is all about. So kudos to the commissioners here in Teller County for the amazing work that they do truly, and all the city local government officials that are part of that process as well. This morning, every second Wednesday of the month, I have a great opportunity to facilitate a Teller County Resource Group meeting. We have about 30 people in the room, and then we have another 15 on the call. And that is really a way to bring all of the agencies, all of the providers of services to one meeting and be able to hear who's doing what, be able to know, that Kathy's providing transportation services, and so is the city of Cripple Creek, and so are these other entities. And that way we're not stepping on toes. We're truly integrating those services. So like Kathy, I'm hugely thankful for the opportunity and the funding provided by Pikes Peak Area Council of Government, Older American Act funds, as well as ARPA funds. We also are getting a new vehicle, which is the first for Community of Caring. Community of Caring actually started as a result of the gambling industry that came to Cripple Creek back in 1991. And so that was a huge change to the entire community. And I know it sounds like I'm going to talk for an hour, but I'm going to make this pretty short. But that's a critical thing because we actually were born as a result of the need that was driven by that industry coming into Teller County and really changing the landscape of the community. And so we started with this one-stop community resource center to provide services in the southern end of the county because truly there weren't any. As the county seat even, I think DHS maybe had a half day that they committed to the southern end of the county every other week. And I know that because I worked at the care center in Cripple Creek, and that's my little closet office was where they actually set up shop. But that kind of started when gaming came to the community. It really created this huge demand for services. And so services needed a place to be in the southern end of the county. And that was the creation of the Aspen Mine Center, which happened in 2001, which was a donated casino that was defunct. So that's how we started. In 2010, we created the senior programs with the help of PPACG and AAA and the Older Americans Act funds. And so currently we serve about 300 clients on our case management program, another 50 or so in a reassurance caller program. And then we have another pocket of individuals that's funded through another source, the Colorado Springs Health Foundation, for a mitigation of critical risk factors, multiple and complex needs for seniors that truly have a lot going on. And so just typical case management or options counseling isn't deep enough. We need to go deeper. So one of the things that struck me is we're a very we're a very relationship oriented throughout all of our programs organizations. So we develop trusting relationships with clients. And through that, we can have those difficult conversations about, have you talked with your kids lately? Is that something that's even a possibility if they're estranged? And so being able to really know them well enough to know when we might be able to ask and get involved in those types of things with the clients. We also provide a homemaker program, as Kathy does, to help keep seniors' homes clean. We have a real challenge with getting home and community-based services to this area because it's very difficult business to get into, especially in the rural communities. So that's another program. And so we really try to fill those needs for folks in the community, seniors, so they can age in place, as we were talking about. I was chuckling when you brought up Guffey, because Guffey is actually one of my favorite places. And it is a little weird, but I had the pleasure of taking my wife there last weekend, and she had never been there, and she's lived here for 20 years. And she was just amazed. So we went to the bakery and had a great time at the bakery. So kudos to the bakery. You guys need to use the Guffey Bakery. It's one of the most special things in their little community. But thank you so much for bringing up these really critical issues, especially for rural communities. It's so important to just put those issues out on the table and to have those discussions. Programs like the intergenerational program that Kathy was talking about, reading to kids, all of those things can happen in our communities. We just need to be deliberate about making sure that we can educate people about when they take place. But those are the things that truly change not only the seniors, but our youth in communities. So I would encourage you to stand behind those types of programs as well. Again, kudos to everything that you guys do. And if there's any questions I can answer, I know we're on a tight time frame, or if you would like to email me any questions, it's one of my favorite topics to talk about and to interact about. And the ideas that you all have are the things that will change our communities. And so thank you so much for the opportunity just to say a few words today and all the great support that you give us. And come up and visit Community of Caring at the Aspen Mine Center, at the AMC West facility, which is directly across from the courthouse, with a purple door. So we did that very deliberately so everybody can find where we're at. But come on up for a visit. We'd love to give you a tour. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Kathy's work on the food pantry program again. She was instrumental in writing that grant for all 4 agencies, and we're the benefactors of that. So that's one of the great examples of great collaboration, great integration of services in Teller County. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ted. Anybody have any really quick questions or comments? I feel like we're rushing you, but that's a lot of information. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
for being patient with us today. Do we know who's next, Andy?
I don't think we had a specific order. Pretty much whoever's next would like to give an update on some good things happening.
Okay. Go ahead.
Start with me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, again, we want to welcome everybody here to Teller County. It's always a joy to let everybody come up the hill and escape the heat and some of the congestion and get a little fresh air. And of course, I don't believe there's a better view in the entire state of Colorado than what's on the front step of the Ute Pass Cultural Center as you look towards the north face of Pikes Peak. But I just want to draw attention to Teller County Fair is going to be coming up, starts July 29th and runs that week. So a lot of events, a lot of fun things going on for the fair. And there's a lot of other events in the county, but we have representatives from Cripple Creek and Victor on the online, and of course Mayor Pro Tem Case here. And I will give the rest of my time to them because they've got some great things going on.
What are they, Eric? Sorry. One of the greatest things we have going on is STRs, of course, but I'll get to that. First, I'd like to just recognize and honor the city staff and PPACG staff for putting all of this together for us today. It really was them that made this happen. So, and also I'm sure Debbie Miller was involved in all of this as well, as she offices here. This is one of our most proud facilities here in Woodland Park. This is our old school building and gymnasium from way back in the old days. But it's getting some air conditioning. This sound system is new, and believe me, it is greatly improved. So we'll be getting some air conditioning in here just because we have a lot of weddings and different things here that it's a little warm in here, but that will help us. We don't have much air conditioning in Woodland Park or in all of Teller County, except in some of the newer commercial buildings and the higher end homes, but we will be doing that here.
The real 1%ers have air.
Those are the real 1%ers, absolutely. They hide away in the hills.
People it out.
Anyway, we are still working on getting some kind of short-term rental regulations in place to the tune of a group of citizens that are circulating a citizens initiative petition to put on a special election ballot that would outright ban them in any residential zone. And the council is working on a not quite as hard of an approach, but to kind of balance that in a cap, limits of how close they can be to each other, things like that, regulations, licensing regulations, violation penalties, those kinds of things to better manage what seems to be a very mature market for that commodity, or not a commodity, but that demand for those services. I think it really bloomed out of COVID because hotels were closed, and I think it really grew rapidly there. But we're seeing that normal economic downturn, not downturn, but leveling off of that market or that service that's offered. And I think the objective of those on council that are in favor of what we're doing, I think, is to give the citizens a choice on the ballot as to what they'd like. I think it's really gotten to the point politically that it is going to be a citizen's decision, but we'll see what the council does as well. I can't speak for anyone but me. We have a downtown development authority here, and it's been in place since 2001 when we started putting that in place. I was on staff then, and the DDA owned the property that used to be the old rodeo ground in the center of town here on the south side of the highway. And just in June, that actually was sold to a private developer that is local. In fact, the entire team that is going to be developing that is local. And they are working with Victor Matthews. He has the Black Bear in Green Mountain Falls and a distillery down there. He's a very accomplished and recognized chef. And he's going to be placing a culinary school in what we're calling the Tava House, or they're calling the Tava House. It will be a kind of a view house concept because of the views that are downtown. Restaurant, event center for weddings and those kinds of things. They are supposed to be breaking ground in about 10 months. I just met with the person on their team that is their real estate professional, if you will. So that's exciting. It's been many iterations over many years on that, trying to develop and kind of complete our downtown. So it's exciting to see that moving forward, hopefully, and stay tuned. They have different phases with even some possible residential down low at the bottom of that 6.5 acres or so that are left undeveloped. It's a busy summer. We have lots of events every weekend in the summertime. Keep your eyes out because there's lots of things, including the Teller County Fair, which is just a hoot. And just to give Deb, I want to just thank CDOT and everyone involved with the paving operations that will extend into next year. It's going to make a big difference. I ride a motorcycle, and what's going on with those holes that are eroding in the highway is very dangerous. And so it's exciting to see that that's being milled up, and it's going to be beautiful and smooth like we see when you go down the hill. You'll experience that. And also knowing that 67 will be on the horizon next year, in addition to the intersection work that we're doing in partnership with CDOT. And finally, I just want to bring something that I think is important for everyone. Debbie Miller with our chamber has offered an enterprise zone training, opportunities for nonprofits and such. Encourage everyone to look into that. It's a wonderful opportunity for nonprofits to get funding and the deductibility and those kinds of things that are really attractive. So other than that, unless I missed something that Eric would like to fill me in on, but it's a great summer up here. And I would say with traffic and things, I just wish everyone would stay home, but that wouldn't be good for anyone. So welcome to our area. Thanks for coming up here and doing this today.
Thank you very much. Lots of exciting things going on. If you guys have information about the fair, if you send it to Andy, then he can get it out to us. So that'd be great. All right. El Paso County Fair going on. Okay, anybody, let me get through this list here. I got Teller County, Sidley, Woodland Park, Cripple Creek, and Victor. I know somebody was on the line earlier.
Thank you.
Oh, I couldn't see past Ian.
Sorry. That's okay. Yeah, all right. Want to thank you. I'm here for Jeff Mosher. I'm Tom Litherland, and I'm on City Council in Cripple Creek. Start off some of the negatives, and then end up with the positives. I'm sure that at least a lot of the small mountain towns in small population are going through the same thing we are. And of course, that's start off with the unfunded mandates handed down by the federal and the state governments requiring this, that, and the other to be done. And of course, as I said, unfunded, where the money's coming from is the question for all of the communities. Again, short-term rentals, we have the same problem as you do here in Woodland Park. Housing, affordable housing, we also have those problems. We are working on all of them, trying to be creative. And I believe our council and our city government is coming up with some really great ideas. On the positive side, we have a new hotel resort that's opening in December. It's part of the Bronco Billy's project. It's $280 million project. It's going to be quite lavish, lack of a better term. And again, we feel that it will, or Bronco Billy's feels that it'll be attracting folks from out of state to come to the mountains and visit this area of the country, or this area of Colorado. But we are continuing to move along, and we have Donkey Derby Days, as you're coming up. That's August 11th, 12th, and 13th. Donkey Derby Days. We're approaching our 100th year on that celebration. So again, we have a number of good things happening during the summer, as Woodland Park does. And that pretty much sums it up.
Thank you. And get the information, anything going on to Andy again, and he'll get it distributed out to everybody.
Jeff has all the special.
Yeah, oh, yes, absolutely.
Jeff.
Absolutely. Yeah, check
Okay.
Jeff in our marketing department, please.
Great. Thank you. And Buck online from Cripple Creek. Are you still there? Victor, thank you. Are you still hanging in there, Buck?
So, Madam Chair, it looks like Councilmember Higgs has dropped off.
Oh, shoot. Okay. All right.
So
Anybody want to talk about Victor?
If I may, if you haven't been to Victor lately, goodness, you have to go. They're trying to take the title away from Manitou Springs as the weirdest town in the area. They're doing all kinds of amazing events up there. They're doing steampunk festivals, but this weekend they're having Gold Rush Days, which is a tremendous event, and really encourage everybody to go up. There's so much going on during Gold Rush Days, everything from old-time baseball, old-fashioned baseball games to, of course, music all over the streets, art, booths, parades. It's just a tremendous event, but Victor truly is kind of like that unpolished jewel in the region. That there's so much there, so much history, the architecture of the area, and I think it's really starting to bloom. There's been some investment in there, but you need to go to Victor, check it out, and of course you can make the whole loop, do Victor, Cripple Creek, come all the way back up around Teller 1, go to Florissant Fossil Beds National Monument. There's just so much up here, but on behalf of Buck, go to Victor.
Hey. Who's the one that has a dog or a cat for a mayor? Which town is that? Oh, okay,
Seagrass.
okay, right, yeah, the fundraiser thing.
say Guffey's got a cat.
It's the animal shelter in Divide, and it is a donkey this year.
Oh, it's a donkey. Okay, there you go. In honor of the 100th thing from,
Actually, they coordinate that fundraiser with the mayoral election here in Woodland Park.
yeah.
And they do exchange keys to the city at their inauguration.
How fun.
And the city receives a gold-plated pooper scooper set.
Oh, gold-plated pooper scooper. Okay, that's fun. All right, anybody have any questions for anybody who shared anything here real quick? Okay, all righty, so just one second. So, oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
Okay, how many people want to go dancing? Come out here on the 14th to Callahan. We're gonna have dancing in the moonlight. We got a couple bands going. We got a summer fest, and you're all invited.
all right, thank you. Making me come to Callahan twice in 1 year? Make me come to Callahan twice in 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay, all righty. Commissioner Vanderworth.
And, okay, there we go. Now it's on. Just a little bit more about Calhan. Don't forget that we have the El Paso County Fair also from 15 to 22 July. And it's a great fair. If you haven't been out there, I encourage you to go. If you've been there before, please come back. There's just tons of great 4-H programs and everything, and it's on a pretty good scale. Also, just to the mayor of Manitou Springs, to John Graham, it sounds like Victor has thrown the gauntlet down, and now you've got to up your skeleton race games and everything else. But I think there's a challenge that I just heard there. So hopefully you can accommodate that and make Manitou Springs even weirder, I guess is the word we're using now. So
Yes, I think the gauntlet has been tossed down. Then I'll refer this back to some of my compatriots, and I'm sure we'll be able to come up with some oddball ideas. So
I don't know
You're
if
on,
anybody
Eric.
can beat the gold-plated pooper scooper. So,
okay. In addition, I'd like to mention that in El Paso County, in our Bear Creek Park, we just started what's called the VIP Trail. Had a ribbon cutting on 23 June. This is the Visually Impaired Persons Trail. It's actually a hiking trail for people who are visually impaired. I'm proud to mention that Yolanda Avila was one of our first users. And if she may have an interest in making a comment or two about it here in the next few minutes. Also wanted to mention, from all of the severe rains that we've had, El Paso County did declare an emergency as a result of that. The damage across the county that is in public spaces is $20 million. We're asking the governor to provide a companion declaration, and that's what will allow us to start receiving federal dollars to work on repairing those. We have several roads in eastern El Paso County that are completely washed out and need to be completely redone. They are causing some headaches and problems for some of our rural residents. And so we are working diligently to try to address that. And I do want to mention just very briefly, I appreciate the comments made earlier about how rural Colorado suffers from unfunded mandates. I think we have common ground here. The urban counties also suffer from those things. And I know that many of us in Colorado Counties Incorporated and also Municipal League do fight together as a team to try to reduce the number of unfunded mandates, and also what also seems to be happening, which is centralization of authority and power taken away from local government and put in Denver. I just think both of those are terrible things. We have local elected officials that are much closer to their constituents, much more accountable because they live next to the constituents. And it's just so important that I think we fight together as a team to keep those unfunded mandates out, to keep local authorities local, which also means that we have an obligation to continue to deliver the best services we can for everybody. But just make that point. Thank you.
Commissioner Vanderworth, if someone has a road that they're not sure, like I know I have a road that was completely underwater. We were landlocked, had reeds all over it. The city came out, moved the reeds so we could get in and out of our road. I don't think anybody from the county has looked at it. If anybody else has a situation, who do we contact to say, you know, this road needs to be checked? Because we got a lot.
How do you want to answer that? Go ahead.
Yeah.
We have, if you go on to our main website, we have a Citizens Connect app. So if you could send that in, they'll get out there. We did have one in Eastern El Paso County, just as a caution. If there is a road closed sign, that means the road is closed. Someone tried to drive over a road where the bridge had been washed out. Took us 5 or 6 hours to get his car out. So
Oh, yeah.
actually, the person abandoned their car, but they'll get the bill. Don't worry.
Okay, so you have an app we can go to? An app to download? Is that what you said?
It's on elpasoco.com, where you can share and send me a text message.
I would just like to get the information out there in general. I mean, the more we get people using that, the better. So I know I always am pushing our city out, but I didn't know y'all had an app.
Yeah, the Citizen Connect is, as Holly mentioned, it's a way for people in El Paso County to identify potholes or other infrastructure challenges that they find. We came out with it a couple of years ago, and it's getting increasingly used. And the roads crews are pretty responsive to what's placed on there.
Okay, and does Teller and Park have an?
Yeah, well, talk about fair. Our fair is going on right now. If you go to Fair Play on the 15th, we have the junior livestock auction. You can buy a lot of beef, pork, lamb. It's not cheap because the money goes to the kids, but it is worthwhile. Last year, I think we did a little over $300,000 worth of sales from the people and the kids in Park County through 4-H. And then the 29th and 30th is the, it's Burro Days, which has got one of my favorite races. It's one of the burro races, and it's got the name of Get Your Ass Up the Pass. And it goes up to the top of Mosquito Pass and back down. It's a lot of fun to watch. In the past, we've had outhouse races. We've had llama races. So I would suggest if you want to go out and really see what Fair Play is all about, you need to go 29th or 30th all day. It's a lot of fun.
Anna too, man, it's getting harder and harder. Oh.
I could see an annual circuit where each of our towns sponsor some sort of oddball competition and get world acknowledgement for that.
There you go.
So
Tri-county awards or something.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, I'll come up with the idea. Y'all can figure out how to pay for it. What's the difference between donkey days and burro days?
A donkey is a burro.
Okay. Well, maybe
And if you ever want a long lecture on that, I got a couple of burros from BLM several years ago. So I did a lot of research on burros, and their proper name is they're called an ass. And there are two types. There is one, and this is Encyclopedia Britannica, so it's got to be okay. One of them is referred to as a half-ass. I don't know where that came from, but that's out of the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Some of the original transportation in this area, right?
And we're missing the stack report for this.
We may be back to that, Holly. Excuse. Was I seeing Mayor Dixon? Yeah.
Yeah, we're winding down our green box events. We actually had like a New York dance company come in, lots of arts and culture come into town. I think the final block party is around the 15th, I believe. And then on the 29th, we have our 85th annual Bronc Day celebration, and it's probably going to be a fairly good size one this year.
What day celebration?
Bronc Day, July 29th, last day on Saturday.
Bronc?
Bronc, as in horse, bronc, as in Bronco.
I must need hearing test or something today. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Broncs, donkeys.
Yeah.
Burros. Okay. Anybody want to raise that? No. Okay. All right, everybody. Any other announcements? I know, Andy, I had one I had given you earlier about the Purple Hearts.
Oh, sure. Do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to try?
Go ahead and just share it. That's fine.
Okay. National Purple Heart Day is coming up on August the 5th from noon to 4, and it's going to be at in Fountain to Carson Circle. Is that in the city of Fountain?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll send out the flyer that we got just this morning to folks, let them know about it. And yeah, it's just remembering those that have been honored with a Purple Heart through their military service.
Just to honor them. And
Yes.
for those of you who are familiar with Fountain, if you know where Dairy Queen is, Carson is behind the street behind Dairy Queen. So, all right. Anything else? Anybody?
Madam Chair, if I could just mention a couple of things just real quick, under my report, if you will. I think I mentioned last month that we got a grant from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, and you heard about that earlier today, to deal with traffic safety issues. And so we're going to keep the ball rolling. We got another grant, shifting gears a little bit away from traffic safety, but under wildfire mitigation. We just got word that we got a $230,000 grant to do mitigation around our military installations. One in the Tri-Lakes Monument area, one on Highway 115 around Fort Carson, and one in the Woodman Valley area. So two that kind of circle, get around USAFA, the one down in the Fort Carson community. So just really excited that we're bringing some more grants in to help with a whole variety of different needs that we have out there. I want to mention as well, I think a few folks have picked this up already, but we just printed up our mobility guide. These are available in the back of the room, but it identifies mobility options available for the general population, but seniors and people with disabilities as well, especially in El Paso, Teller, and Park County. So really excited to get this printed up. It's on our website, but for old school people like a lot of us, we definitely wanted a printed version as well. So that's out there now. And finally, just want to thank, sorry, Jody. Spanish version available as well. We'll have that back here pretty soon. It's at the printer.
Fountain and Mountain Metro are free through August.
Transit service is free, yes, on MMT and the Fountain Transit Service through August. Good reminder. And finally, again, I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Kelly Case, City of Woodland Park, and Deb Miller for their hospitality for hosting us here today. Really, thank you very much. And also, I want to give a special shout out to Cheryl and Jared. They did a lot of most of the heavy lifting and working with city staff here in Woodland Park as well to get us all set up for our road show today. It's a lot of work. It's really well worth it, as we heard today with all the great stories of all the good stuff happening up here, but it takes a lot of work. So thank you so much, Cheryl and Jared, for making it happen. And that's all I've got.
Okay, barring any other announcements, I will mention El Paso County, we have one more redistricting meeting on Monday for input. That's the last one for citizen input, right? On Monday?
Yeah, the redistricting commission meets at 9 a.m. on Monday, and I think that is the last one for citizen input, but that is also on our website, elpasoco.com. Then you scroll down, and you will find the redistricting website right attached to it.
And I'm sure the other commissioners are doing that too. Redistricting stuff.
We did.
Big counties.
Big counties, we did ours last year.
Oh,
Yeah, we'd already did on.
lucky you.
Yeah.
Okay, all righty. Andy, am I safe? Adjourn the meeting? Okay, hit it so hard. You're adjourned.
Whack it.